to view it. It isn't. We're gonna have somebody highlighting those questions for us as we move through. Again, I'll probably
Yeah.
say this a couple of times because I know that there's people joining and things like that. Hi guys, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join us. Your night, I guess, time zones are weird. I'm sure that there's people. I always say good morning, good afternoon, good evening because who knows what time it is. Um, so what we'll do is we'll highlight the question that we're on. We're going to do our best to timestamp these answers as well, and we'll add that into this question document so that once you get to like if somebody is not viewing this live and they want to rewatch it and get the same information, we will add timestamps the best that we're able to um, on on the sheet so that if you want to go back through, if you want to hear something again, if you want to get that information or you missed it, that should all be there for you once we finish up. Hi,
And
welcome guys.
most of the you'll find the wording of the questions. We just took any question we could find that has been asked about BTM, about dice, and just copied it verbatim. Um, we want to answer the questions that everyone has out there because it's what you know. You guys want to know all the facts. We'll go through all that, and yeah, we didn't word any of these questions any other way or anything else. It's literally everything we could find, and hopefully we can help answer them all.
And if there's anything in here that if there's any gaps in here, if there's any information that you would like to know more about, what I will say is if you can do, I know there's going to be a bunch of comments coming up and there's going to be a lot of opinions and things happening in the chat. If you can try and save some of your questions till we've run through this sheet, then we'll be able to focus our attention on that, go back through and do that ask me anything style of question answering at the end. We want to try and, like I said, and I'm going to say this a couple of times until we kind of have a few minutes for people to jump on board. I think we'll probably start in the next 2 to 3 minutes, but I just want to give people a chance to join, give people a chance to take a look at that sheet, see where we're up to. And yeah, we will make sure we might be here for a while, guys, but we will make sure that we answer everything everything that we can. I just read a comment, someone's seen your Nerf gun collection on the back wall.
I'm a kid at heart. I love my Nerf guns, but it's not about Nerf guns, guys. We want to get to the BTM and let you guys know everything that's going on, all the facts and everything else.
If you
Um,
haven't got the sheet of questions, there is a link in my bio. I was saying that I was adding this to my link tree, which I
I
probably should
think
have
there's
thought
a
about
if you
before I was live.
I think Atlanta will post it in chat periodically as well. She'll help us out with that. She's done it already once. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Lena. Yeah, there is, it's not a necessity that you look at the sheet of questions either. I'm going to read them out for you. But if you would like to see kind of what we are going to be addressing, if you hadn't had a look at it, then you can do so on that sheet and we'll be highlighting what we're talking about. So if you jump in, or if you're just jumping in, you're not going to hear this part, so it's probably irrelevant. But if you jump in and you see that something is highlighted, that's where we're up to. That's the question that we're addressing. Um, oh, thank you. Firebolt Dice said that the link is in their bio as well. Sorry, it's in their link tree as well. Um, I apologize that it's not in mine. I will attempt to add it. I'm realistically, I'm not going to be able to do it right now, but I will make sure that it's in there after this video so that if you would like to go back and view that sheet, see timestamps and things like that, you will be able to do that. Cool. I think it's 7:10, which is not a time that's relevant for probably
AM.
anyone other than those of us in Australia. But it's 10 minutes after we said, so I think we're just gonna get into it. The very first question
Um,
is, sorry, yes, Alex.
before we start the questions, I think it's really important that we apologise to the handmade dice community and especially the beta testers for taking so long to do something like this. It was never our intent. That doesn't change the fact that we should have been communicating sooner. We're really sorry about that. If you guys want to know why, feel free to throw in one of the questions. But I don't want to sit here and go, oh, here's the reasons, here's the excuses. We are very sorry that we haven't talked to you guys more about this, and we hope that this is a change and shows you guys that we are open and literally to answer absolutely any question that you guys have thrown at us.
Yeah, and I also I know that we're going to talk about communication. I think look, honestly, I've read most of these questions, but I know more are being added. So, but I know that there was one about communication, so we'll leave that for when we get up to that question. But yeah, look, really, I really wish that we had had this conversation earlier. We're sorry that we haven't done that. Hopefully, if you bear with us, we can do that right now. So I'm looking at our question sheet, and the first one is, why are you hosting this on Fortune Feyvours Instagram and not Luds? Do you want to take that one, Alex?
Sure. So Level Up Dice has its own customer base, and the BTM customer base is a very small portion, or even anyone who's currently looking at and getting involved in BTM, of everyone that we work with in Level Up Dice. And so we wanted to make sure that this wouldn't cause confusion with all of our customers who don't even know what BTM is. Then I am doing live from the Level Up Dice account, so everyone from Level Up Dice is welcome to join in here. But I know that we've had a lot of questions from our customer base of, oh, how come you're talking so much about a lot of these other aspects or other projects you're working on, where we've got 5 projects that we're working on, and we need to make sure that everyone's getting all the information. It wasn't a best solution. In the best world, we would have had our own BTM Instagram by now, and something we have got on the list to do. There's just so much to do, but that's why we're doing it here, because we can still have it saved somewhere that isn't directly on Lud, where you're going to get 90% of our customers going, oh, what is this? I don't understand. But it's still linked and available, and I am streaming from it at the moment as well. So hi, any amazing Lud customers who don't know what BTM is and are here to experience the FAQ, the questions and answers we're going through, and the AMA.
Yeah. And I mean, I know if we just reiterate it, we're probably going to go around in circles. So going to try and keep it as concise as possible. But essentially, we didn't want to cause confusion. We didn't want there to be, you've said it all. we wanted to get you concise information without also having a flood of what is this, why are we talking about this, what's going on, from people who have no idea what BTM is. Gonna go into
That's okay. Yeah. All right. Next question.
Okay, so this one's gonna be a long one, and this is gonna be one that I might pop in and out of, but largely it's gonna be Alex chatting about when and why did we start BTM. So I'm gonna sit back for a little bit, and I'm gonna let Alex address that one. Over to you, Alex.
It's not a short story, and we want to give you full everything that happened that led up to where we are now, because again, we want to be transparent. That's the goal. That's why we've got every single question here. But that's not me focusing on the question. BTM started in early 2019. It started actually at Emerald City Comic Con, which I think was February or March in 2019, and I got to meet Lemmy from Lucky Hand Dice. And for those who don't know Lucky Hand Dice, they were quite big in the early scene. They had a lot of things happen. The three main key pieces that really affected the handmade market was that they were the first handmade artists to really be um, attack's the wrong word, sought after by game science about not using their dice as blanks. They also had at that time the biggest handmade Kickstarter ever, and I've totally forgotten the third. It'll come back to me. My brain's flicking all over the place. But we got to meet Lemmy, and oh, that's right. And they were also the first handmade artists to have their designs taken and mass produced without their permission, which was the blue dice with the gold flakes. So met Lemmy, and she just finished doing a successful Kickstarter, and we started talking about how she could fulfill it because it was a lot more than she'd expected. And I suggested that we make some stainless steel molds so that she's not burning through silicon, etc. And she was super keen, and we decided to start designing stainless steel molds. Long story short, it took us about 3 months to get the D20 done, and it was great. It was an amazing mold, and when Lemmy and I then talked about it at that stage, she knew straight away that this wasn't going to be the solution for her Kickstarter because it's just going to take too long, and that was fine. I got to learn how to make a stainless steel mold, though. That's pretty impressive. At that stage, we were doing 40 conventions a year in 3 different continents. That's Level Up Dice, lots of travel, lots of weekends, and I thought it'd be a great idea to see if Lemmy would like us to bring their dice all over to all these different conventions. And Lucky Hand said, it's a great idea, but we want to concentrate on our Kickstarter, which is correct. It was good on for that. And so I said, okay, cool, thanks. But I had at that stage gone, I think there's a really cool way that we can bring handmade dice around all the conventions as well. Moved forward to June 2019, and I got to meet Bree from Fortune Feyvours in Supernova Sydney. And after telling her not to let me buy everything from her store, I had a conversation with her saying, look, I had this idea. I'd love to bring handmade dice to conventions all around the world with Level Up Dice. And she was keen as a bean. And in fact, we brought 125 sets to Gen Con in August of 2019 and sold all of them in like the first day. It was great. It was people really loved it, and there's a lot of people at conventions who don't go online and look at handmade dice. So before I continue that, let's just go back 3 days before Gen Con, because I want to try to keep this chronologically as much as possible. About 3 days before Gen Con, I find out that Lucky Hand is going to China to see if they can get some help making their Kickstarter fulfillment. And I have a lot of ties, a lot of friends, a lot of family in China, and I said, well, if there's anything I can do, who are you going to go see? And she gave me a list, and one of the 3 locations she was going to I felt was quite reputable. The other 2 I didn't feel was as reputable. And I said, I can give you the best people I know over there. And she said, great, give them to me. I set her up so she would go visit them. And then said, do you have anyone on site in China? Do you have someone who can help you when you get there? And the answer was no. And I couldn't get over there because I was going to be at Gen Con in 2 days' time. And so I set her up with one of my translators and managers on the field that helped me out over there a lot. And they saw her at the airport, took her around to everywhere, made sure that everything she needed to communicate was done. During that trip, a lot of feedback from the 4 or 5 locations she went to was that someone else had been talking a lot about handmade dice to these large factories 2 or 3 months ago, and we didn't know it at the time, but that was actually dispelled. So we're going to leave that there, and we're going to jump forward to we've just finished selling 125 sets of dice with Bree. I come back to Australia, and Bree and I sit down and go, so do you want to do this regularly? Do you want to? Can you want to make dice into a permanent business? And Bree did some number crunching and said, I'm interested. I can only do it if you buy at least 100 sets of dice off me at all every month. And bear with me if everyone is going through the story. This is all about BTM. And so I said, done. I will buy 100 sets minimum off you a month and take them all around the world. And you can quit your day job and start working for Dice. And that was Bree's calculations that she could start actually making a living off Dice and supporting her family. So that started, I think, August, September, straight after Gen Con in 2019. Now we skip forward to November 2019, and this was a really important month in BTM, handmade, the whole lot. I was in China at the time. I remember it like yesterday. I was sitting at a large round table at lunchtime, eating and drinking vodka as you do, trying to organize some deals. I was with 3 of the largest plastic factory owners and an owner of a smaller one, because I had an idea around an acrylic new dice. And if you guys haven't seen our stealth dice before, it was something along those lines. And so we were talking away, and then about 45 minutes of an hour into the meeting, Dispel Dice hit $1 million. And all of a sudden, the conversation changed to, what is this? We know that people have been talking to us about handmade dice. There's actual money in this. And I didn't know very much about Dispel or anything, so I said, I can't answer this. It's a handmade company. They're doing a Kickstarter. That moment and the moments of initially reaching out and everything else put into the mindset of these large factories that handmade is a business opportunity. So I continued to try to get my acrylic done, and we actually never finished the acrylic project because not all projects you start actually end in success. This will all tie in. I'm going to jump now forward in time, and we're going to go to February in 2020, and this is when COVID hit. This is when COVID hit China, and 3 really important things happened at this time. Convention stopped, so I had to have a very challenging conversation with Bree and say, look, if we haven't got conventions, we haven't got a viable way of selling your dice and getting them in front of customers. I don't know if we can keep buying 100 sets of dice off you. And she understood that, and but also was like, well, what am I going to do? And definitely, I know I was a catalyst to stop her from being in her day job. And so I said, look, I'm going to bring you into Level Up Dice. I don't know what you're going to be doing. I will give you a job. We'll work it out. And I think for the first 2 months, you didn't really have a job. And then we got Bree started doing social media for us. The second thing that happened is that China lost about 70% of its skilled workforce. So a lot of dice making has a lot of skill involved. Even you guys know, you guys are skilled makers. I have to explain that to you. But the way the culture works in China is when something goes wrong, especially on a national level, everyone goes back to their families and supports their family businesses. And so we lost about 65% of our team, who all went back to their families to help their family businesses out. We had a few people come and help us. But the problem is that skilled workers aren't easily replaceable. And there is so many companies still who relied on dice that was being made in China, who are still recuperating from this huge drop in production, in R&D, which is what the key point of that piece is going to be as well. And the third big thing that happened was that people got to stay home, and we saw an increase in boom in people discovering and exploring handmade dice. And this whole golden age of handmade started appearing because there were so many new people with ideas and everything else as well. At that time, Bree also had a chat to me saying that 100 dice sets a month is taxing. It's really hard to do, and we never set the amount. That was Bree's amount that she wanted to set for her to be successful. And so with us stopping doing the 100 sets, I turned around to Bree and said, well, how about we work out, is there something we can do that can reduce the amount of taxing on your body, on your mental health, everything else, that can make you be able to produce 100 sets a month and still have, a family life and everything else. And that was a key moment as well when we started thinking about what are the other options we can offer Brie in this case, not every handmade artist, within our scope. So skip forward to 2020 was a blur for a lot of people. I keep thinking it didn't exist, but we're going to jump through to September. And so Brie and I had been playing ideas of each other back and forth on what we could do to remedy the stress output of trying to do 100 sets a month in the handmade industry. And on the flip side, the metal the luxury metal side of dice industry just disappeared. The problem with metal dice, especially aluminium, stainless steel, tungsten, etc., is you have to see them and feel them to really appreciate them, and they don't sell online. And so we went from selling a lot of metal dice to pretty much selling none. And what happened then is that we had all these CNC machines that weren't doing anything. So the idea popped up that we get metal in billets, and they're about 30 centimeters long, 25 mils. And I said, Brie, make a resin billet. And so Brie went to the Bunnings or Home Depot, as you guys call it, and designed a way to make a billet. Now, unfortunately, we have pictures of them. They didn't look amazing, and it was very hard to manage to pour and have any consistency and anything else, because you're literally pouring like a 30 centimeter long thing. But we had billets, and we put them through our heavy metal process, which was to CNC the billets down and to make dice. And all of a sudden, we had made a set of Brie's designed dice with the CNC machines that were literally sitting there doing nothing. They were costing us money. CNC machines are based on how much they can do an hour, and when you're not running a CNC machine, you're actually losing money. We were hemorrhaging very badly. So we then went, well, this isn't really going to work as a billet. We need to find a better way. At the same time, in October, we did a handmade die maker appreciation month, because originally the idea was that for the whole of 2020, we were going to celebrate a different hand maker and bring their stuff to every convention we had one a month. And we're just going to go, hey, these are really cool.
What is a billet is one of the questions that's come up as well, just for clarity.
Gotcha.
So what we were working with when I first started experimenting with how I could make resin that we could use over there was like the billet that we were describing was a length of material. So it was like a cylindrical, it was like 25 centimeters long or something. I can get photos as well. A 25 centimeter long billet. The problem with that, which, I communicated to Alex, was that didn't let us get our designs in place. And that wasn't going to work for me as a handmade artist. I didn't want to pour a slab that would then be chopped up, because it didn't feel like I was contributing to the creativity of what it looked like. So that's how we moved on to cubes. I will say, because I am reading your comments, I do see this is by far the longest answer that we're going to be addressing in this list of questions. We want to give you as much context and background as to what we did to get here and the motivation behind it, so that we can make this concise moving forward, because this will kind of impact a lot of what we respond to in the other questions. So thank you. I appreciate, we are going to get to all of your questions. We have timestamps on here, so if you feel like rewatching this, you don't want to listen to all of the context, that's fine, but I do think it's important for us to go through this so that we can come back to it, so that you understand the scope of everything that we're talking about. I'm sorry, Alex, keep going.
That's okay. And we want to be 100% factual. This is actually how BTM came to be, and why BTM is here, and why we're trying to help the community, which a lot of these questions have come up. So where were we now? We were talking about the handmade artists, and all of this will link together. Please just bear with us. Anyway. So we celebrated handmade artists. We celebrated 11, not 12. One dropped out. That's fine. But what happened from this is we created a Discord channel to be able to communicate with these artists to make sure that all the social media was going out correctly at the same time, and that we were organizing all the interviews on Twitch channel. So we then moved forward to just after October. Bree, Drew from Dice Encounters, and I are playing with different ideas, looking at these circles and everything else, and we come up with the cube idea. And the cube solved a lot of issues. I know it created a lot more, but it solved a lot of issues around the machining side of things. So we're like, hey, this could really work, but this is such a great idea. Is this something that we just need to worry about for you, Bree, or is there other people who want to do 100 sets of dice a month and make this into a business? And so we approached the 11 artists who are part of the October and said, what do you guys think about this? Do you guys think this is an idea? Do you think we should just keep doing it ourselves? Would you guys be interested in it? And there was a resounding, yeah, we want to know more. And so it's at that stage that we then started looking for beta testers, and we started working more on it. And we're going to talk about the whole BTM process of the beta and everything else in the questions. We're now going to jump to the last bit of this, which is our release date, and also what happened after that. And this will all hopefully now link in together. And so as we were in beta and we were talking about when we're going to release it and everything, Dispel Dice, I advised that they're doing another Kickstarter with Wormwood. And knowing what had happened in the industry in the last year and even 2 years, a whole bunch of handmade artists making successful Kickstarters, companies in China like Sigocraft, Ice Dice, Mini Planet, etc., taking ideas and then making their own ones and then trying to sell them as well. I knew that when Dispel dropped and it was another $1 million Kickstarter, that $1 million would spur that industry on 500%, 1,000%, because that's how it works over there. And Dispel didn't do anything wrong in that regard. No handmade maker who used a Kickstarter did anything wrong. They were doing exactly what they needed to do for their business. But the optics were now on Kickstarter and handmade dice. And so we were like, let's do a release before that happens, so at least the community's got something that because we wanted BTM to be a strengthener, which it hasn't come across that way. And again, I'm sorry about that. Before this dropped and before it hit $1 million. And it dropped 2 days ago. It hit $1 million, and in the last 24, 48 hours, I've had, my computer's up here, at least 3 different emails from factories saying, hey, you're a dice company that sells dice. We've got these new handmade dice, their words, not mine, that you should be looking at and selling. This is the future. And I personally said, no, it's not what I want to do. We're actually trying to work with handmade artists who actually are amazing and care. But I know that message has gone out to every single dice company out there. And I know nearly for a fact that in the next 6 to 8 weeks, those dice companies are going to start selling these dice. And the industry behind this of the mass market, they're going to be making more and more and more and more designs that match what's in the handmade industry, because that's where they see the money is. And that was the scariest part, and we don't want that to happen. Brie and I have a lot of friends in the handmade industry. We care. We want to arm you guys with as many tools as possible. We want to give you guys as many options as possible, so that when they come and start flooding the market on the handmade, to all these people who aren't part of our handmade bubble, we have something that we're armed with. And that is just making sure when and why we started BTM. And thank you for bearing with me while I gave you the whole history of that. We're now going to go into the questions, which will be succinct answers as well. But I think it's really important to tell you guys the whole story. It's been a trip. It's been 2 years.
I also want to, I promise we're going to get to the questions. I'm going to say one more thing before we do that, but please make sure that you're looking after yourselves and each other through this as well. Um, we're feeling that. We it might be hard for people to believe, but this, if anything else, is coming from a place of we care. We care. I'm not going to try and say it any other way. I know it probably sounds like a PR gimmick or something, but we care. This is an emotional strain on me and Alex, and there are places where we're probably going to have to take little breaks. Alex, take a breather and a drink. And if you have to do that through this live as well, take a drink, take a break,
We'll record.
look after
It's recording
yourself.
time.
Um, yeah, make sure that you are practicing self-care, that you're looking after each other, because no matter what our opinions are on this topic, no matter how divided we are, I, Bree, as a person, want you to take care of yourself. And I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and that Alex is taking care of himself as well. So no matter what our opinions are on this topic, and I know it's a divisive topic, and I know there's a lot of big emotions involved, let's breathe and let's get on to the questions. We got them here. That is the biggest kind of piece of information that we're going to chuck at you today in terms of length. And we're going to probably, because for us, that context informs everything that we've done. And I know it might have sounded at times like we were rambling. Hey, Lena. I apologize. That's as concise as we could get that. If
There's
we
a
want
lot
to talk
more.
about essentially that story, that context has been what our lives have been like for the last 2 to 3 years before, the whole time that we've been involved in this process and things like that. So that informs our answers. Now I'm going to stop going in loops and we're going to get to the questions. Question 1. Again, apologize if I stumble. I haven't read all of these yet. Why have you been so silent? How can you say you care about the community when you left your beta testers to field the questions about your project? So this is the one that I want to just forget about a couple of things for a moment and talk to the people who have trusted me to represent them, and who have far out. I thought I was going to cry later. I was going to cry, but I didn't think I was going to cry now. I do want to say I'm sorry. The last thing that I intended was for you to feel like you're abandoned, or you had to fight a battle for me, or people had to come in and defend what we were doing. It was poorly managed. I managed it poorly. I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you a ton of excuses. I'm a dice maker. I'm not a PR expert. I'm not a marketing expert. There was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of excitement about a new process that we were doing that we had time to think about, and we had each other to bounce ideas off. It's very evident that not everybody that we approached to take part in the beta wanted to. This wasn't right for everyone, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But we had time to talk about this together. We had time to work over it together. We got to a point where people were making cubes that they were really excited about. They were really, really keen to share with the community and to share with other people the processes that they've been going through, the new technology they've been trying out, and we jumped the gun. We did. And we weren't prepared. I wasn't prepared as a person or as a project manager to deal with that. And people were excited, and they said, "What can we say? What can we share? What can we do?" And we were like, we don't have anything to hide. You can share whatever you want." And what that resulted in was a really poorly managed pre-release. I'm sorry, I've lost the comments at this point. A really poorly managed pre-release. And I'm not going to say that I think that went well. I don't. It wasn't a premeditated way of this is how we're going to release it. We did the wrong thing. We did it badly. And no one should have been made to feel like they had to bear the brunt of that. And I at the end of the day, putting anything aside, the number one important thing to me is that the people who have been invested in this and the people that I care about and that I honestly love don't feel like this is a burden on them, because I don't, that's the last thing that I want to happen. And I'm so sorry if that's how you've been made to feel. I can't change that now. I really, really wish that I could. I can't. Um, all I can do is say I'm going to try my fucking hardest to make sure that moving forward, that doesn't happen to you again. And that I can be as open and honest about what we're doing, the reasons that we're doing it, what we're going to try and do. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to make more mistakes, because I have no fucking idea what I'm doing half of the time. I'm really sorry. But I'm going to try, and I'm going to try and be better. I'm going to try and make sure that we arm ourselves, with the tools that makes communication and that makes all of these things run a lot smoother. Because I don't think that there's anybody sitting here that thinks that won't work. It didn't. I'm sorry. Is there any more on that?
No, I think sorry is a good thing. I mean, just to TLDR, I guess. Why have you been? Why have you been so silent? We were trying to catch up, and we had 100 things coming at us. We're not a big business. We have 2.5 people working on this project, and we tried. We didn't do it right, and as Bree said, we made mistakes. We never wanted this to go this way, and it has. And we totally understand how everyone feels about us because it went that way, and that's why we're here today. Let's move on to question 2, because we got to make sure we do get through them all. Right?
Yeah, we'll probably go in loops, and we can talk about, if we don't touch on this as much as you would like, make a note of it. We'll grab it and we'll talk about it again at the end.
Yeah.
What makes
me question.
Yeah. What makes you different from other big companies? I'm worried that Lud is another company seeing a money opportunity and coming in to exploit the handmade market and make a quick buck. I feel like you're only looking to make a profit from back sneakers.
So we're not a big company. We may look like we're big to you. What makes us different? I've got a great list. Every single person hired here was approached and said, would you like to work for us? We don't take resumes. We don't do any that sort of thing. We work with individual. No job here was designed beforehand. I said to Bree, what are the things you like doing? Let's build a job around you. And I do that to all my staff. In fact, every couple of months we check in. If they don't like their job, we change it, because it's about working in an industry and a job you love doing. Everyone is paid and taken care of as if they're an Australian employee. Why is this different? Why is this important? Because Australian employees have a lot of protections. I can't fire someone just because I want to. In Australia, I have to go through a 3-month process if I want to get rid of someone. Not that I've ever had one person who's left the business because of non-productivity, and we did over a 3-month period. What other things make us different from other big companies? Well, the CEO gets paid the least amount of money out of everyone in the business. Everyone gets paid as straight a line as possible. We don't have management structure. Everyone is equal. Everyone has power over their element and their job responsibility. Bree can veto anything that I suggest in regards to BTM, because it's her project. The same goes for Dusty, who runs the warehouse. He's in charge of it, and Jamie runs corporate. I am not the boss. I am helping them all, because that's what a real leader should do. I'm worried that there's another company seeking to make money opportunity, coming to exploit the handmade market for a quick buck. The actual fact of the matter is that we're losing money because we have 9 CNC machines that are not working. One of them's working at the moment. And the problem is, losing money is not the same as making money or ending up flat. And so we needed to find a way to make our machines also work, and a way that turned out that we can then support and help and bring a new option to the handmade dice community and a whole bunch of friends that I have here. So if anything, this is us trying to stop us losing money and hemorrhaging, because we're not. COVID is not helping us make money, and stopping the CNC machines not being a negative every hour they're not running as well.
And I think, sorry to interrupt for a second, Alex, and also take a drink. I think that we Alex and I have had a lot of really cool ideas about, what we could do together. And this was like, because the CNC machines weren't operating, this was an opportunity that we hadn't had before. So, if we wanted to do this, we talked about doing something, being able to work together somehow to be able to support. I mean, to start with, I was me to be able to support me as a handmade maker. And because they were available, we were able to take that opportunity to do that. Um, so this hasn't been like a reactionary thing to the fact that we need machines to do something. It has been very much, we finally can do this and it's viable. And when we say, making like, I don't want to speak for you, Alex. So I'm going to let you kind of continue on this thought, but
I mean, yeah.
like, their intention isn't to make money to make a profit for the business. It's to make money to support the people who are Level Up Dice.
I feel like you're only looking to make a profit from dice make. This is the last bit, um, and these are my words. You can take them, you can action speak louder, etc. The first thing I say every time I have a meeting with our accountants is, how many more people can I hire? It's not how much profit I can make. Um, the business doesn't turn a profit. It invests it all back in to create more jobs for people who love dice and want to be in the dice industry. That is why I started Level Up Dice. Um, that is the purpose of Level Up Dice. It's in the first 4 years, our total profit was $10,000 total, and that includes not paying me a wage at all. So, the business, any money it does make is all about supporting it to run and to give people opportunity to work in the dice industry. I'm not here to turn giant profits and to be in a yacht and all that sort of shit. I want to work with amazing dice makers. I want to give back to the tabletop community that saved me through some difficult times in my life. But now we're going off cater. Let's go to the next question.
I guess I should answer this one. Which parts of the BTM service are specifically spearheaded by Bree? So I'm Bree. Hi. If you have heard Who's Bree before, it's me. Hi, I'm spearheading the project. I am organizing everything that doesn't relate directly to the things I don't understand, which is the R&D side of machining, I guess. So there's a bunch of things that I'll say, Alex, what can the CNC machines do? And then around that information that Alex gives me, I do everything else. I will call on Alex to say, hey, I need help with this, I need support there. But ultimately, I am making all of the decisions that relate to BTM. Am I going to make them on my own? No, I'm going to ask Alex for his input, for his opinion, things like that, as you would with another coworker, as you would with somebody who is running the overarching idea of the company. Aside from that, it's me. Like Alex said, we work together. So, I have a very small team of people who are helping with this. They are, Dave, who you probably means nothing to you. You don't know who Dave is yet, but if you've been in the beta group, then you know Dave. We have Dave. Drew was a massive help in the R&D side of things and in building what this is. And then we've just, like, as of this week, moved somebody else, Marty, over to helping me with this project as well. So, yeah, everything except for actually operating CNC machines is spearheaded by me.
And any questions you guys would ask, we'll add them to a sheet. We just want to go through this, of course, as it is. Tell us about, I think this is my one. Tell us about pricing. $20 sounds too good to be true. How is this sustainable for you and your company? Will the pricing change? So many aspects of the process have changed seemingly overnight. As a 20 includes sanding and polishing. $20 currently includes sanding and polishing.
What?
$20. We're still in beta. We haven't got a final
Clean
price.
the toilet?
I need to make sure that everyone knows we haven't released. How is this sustainable for the company? We do a lot of things. This is only a small part of what Level Up Dice does. It's not doesn't mean it's not an important part of what Level Up Dice does. The way I explained it the other day, which I think is probably the best way of doing it, is, for example, if I organize a deal with Kingsfell to get a mold at a great price, and I don't make a profit off that, but I pass that mold. I'll answer the $20 in a second. I pass that mold on to someone at the same price. I'm not making a profit. How is that beneficial for the business? It's beneficial because I'm now creating a partnership and relationship with Kingsfell, who then, when I need to go to them and do something else, they'll take care of me. They'll give me a good price. So not always is the money that's coming out of it going to be directly a profit-making money. It's going to be something that allows relationships to build and allows opportunities to then arise as the business network grows. The $20 is the cost currently for you to have a set of dice cut, engraved, and polished, and it includes everything except for the shipping to our warehouse. I'll go back to the previous question. We're hemorrhaging with our machines not doing anything. $20 is a lot more than minus 100 an hour. So is it too good to be true? At the moment, our calculations, we set it up originally at 15, and we thought that wasn't enough. That wouldn't help us cover it, and so we think 20 might be right. That will probably change. We are in beta. We're trying to work out exactly how this works. Maths and profits and investing back in the business doesn't happen overnight. Will $20 be the final amount? I don't know. I think it sits pretty well. It gives you guys access to a service and machines that aren't doing anything, and it lets you get to the 100 sets a month if that's what you want. So that was what it's designed.
Sorry, I'm gonna go back for a second because I don't think that I answered the previous question as concisely as people were after, and I don't want us to roll into something else before those concerns get addressed. So it was which services are specifically spearheaded by me. I think I just talked generally. So I have I'm, I guess, managing all of the services, but I'm not going, like, I don't have knowledge in all of the services that we're offering. So, for example, if we have something like a legal question, if somebody comes through and wants to access legal support, then that is something that I will pass on to Alex, because he then has the connections to be able to facilitate that. The same with accounting and things like that.
Legal.
I will be filtering, and as this grows, it will be like Dave and Marty will also be helping me filter those things to the right area. So it would be the same as, I'm not personally going to be accessing the CNC machines, but I will be filtering that through to the service that it needs to go to. So I am spearheading and organizing all of those different things. The packaging service, which we will talk about a little bit later as well, I'm sure. Again, the same with like Kingsfell molds, for example. Those things are still going to be filtered through me. I will still be managing those projects and making sure that they get to the place that they need to go. A huge thing that I'm working through personally and on our back end of things is making sure that we have concise procedures and ways for that to happen smoothly, so that information can be delivered to you in a concise way, and then I can make sure that all of those things are done in a way that is better organized, because quite clearly that hasn't happened as of yet. That is my absolute priority. The two things that I am, and I think they relate to each other, the two things that I'm most concerned about is making sure that the people who want to access this service are looked after. And I'm going to let a little brief slip out as well. It doesn't just mean business wise, I care about how you're doing. I want to make sure that you're okay. I want to make sure that this situation isn't overly stressful for you, because I felt it. I felt the stress that the whole community is going through, that we are all going through with learning how to navigate through these changes. And then the other one is, I want to get you information the best way that I can. And I know I haven't done that well, so I'm focusing on how I can do that better. And it might take me a little bit of time, and I might stumble, and I might make some more mistakes, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to do my best with that. I hope that answers the question. If it doesn't, like I said, chuck in more questions or points, but I didn't want us to like kind of move away from that without me expanding on that just a little bit more.
Yeah. And I know there's a lot of talk about $20 being sustainable and such. If that's something that people want to talk about, I can do a whole different thing on how sustainability in business works. But machine use versus downtime is how it's sustainable. But we'll keep going through it, because I know we have a lot of questions here, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming through as well. And we don't want to keep you guys for 14 hours. Free minimum order quantity. Why did it seem to change overnight?
Okay, so I'm probably going to bounce this back to you, because this is another one that, isn't my area of expertise. But for us to be able to operate the CNC machine, and for this to work, and for us to be able to actually pay for those things to happen, we needed to have a minimum order quantity. For us to pay for me to be able to do this, we needed to have a minimum order quantity for that to work. We found that in our beta phase that we were having enough of the cubes sent over, that we were having enough of that to pay for what we needed to happen, for it to happen. To clarify, like, we weren't making, we're talking about like being able to sustain that, not making money off that, but being able to do that without having too much of a loss. So we needed to have a minimum order quantity in place. Now, if and Alex can go into more specifics there, but
If you go for it.
no, you go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the key elements of CNCing is the programming. And anytime you take down a machine and stop it working, it's costing you money. So we calculated that we needed 100 cubes roughly, which is about 14 sets, which is why it's such a weird number, to be able to pull a machine down to reprogram. Now, what we figured out was, well, when you had 5 people interested in doing this project, 100 cubes, we needed something to get to that 100 number. Now that we have a lot of people interested in this project, all those people's cubes will get us to the number we need to. So it's because so many people are interested in working on this that we don't need an MOQ, because we're still getting the same 100 sets, 1,000 sets arriving in that we can work on. It's just being pulled from more people. That's why there's no more MOQ, because we realized this is not going to be something that we're just doing for 4 people. Moving on.
Yes. This is for you, Alex.
Right. How are workers treated? Yeah. Do they make minimum wage, PPE, other safety standards? So every single worker is treated as an Australian. No one makes minimum wage. In fact, we pay everyone about 20-30% above the tabletop industry standard. Everyone is treated like an Australian, and I'll keep saying that. Everyone has 401ks, or we call super over here. Everyone has health insurance, because we have health insurance over here, and it doesn't cost anything. So Level Up Dice is paying for everyone's health insurance. Everyone has actual PTO days, because when I found out, when I was first setting up the business in America, the minimum PTO you have to give a full-time employee is 0. And I was like, that is the stupidest thing ever. And my American accountants were like, well, no, this will save you money. And I'm like, screw that shit. They get annual leave just like everyone else does. We have matched up as many public holidays as possible, so that everyone's getting more public holidays than a normal person would, because we have across multiple countries. And it doesn't make sense if half of us are working and half of us are not, when we're relying on each other. So how they're treated like my family and friends, because they're my family and friends. I would bleed and die for every single one of them, and every single one of them deserves to be treated the absolute best. I've invited every single one into Level Up Dice, because I want them to be taking care of their family with a business, with a job that actually pays them enough. They don't have to worry about finding a freaking second job or anything else like that. PPE, we follow, again, Australian standards. We have, one of the highest standards in the world in regards to safety. We have the highest standards in the world, one of the highest standards in the world in regards to environmental. Everything I've done is and every decision I made for this for Level Up Dice was we're going to be Australian in regards to everything with our people, with how we run as a business. So how our work is treated, I think they're treated really well. But it's up to them to let you know. And yeah,
I also want to, because I don't know if people are aware of it or not, but um, all of the people that work in our workshop in China are also Level Up Dice employees. So, this isn't a just a
kind of.
US
So
and
hold on,
yeah,
no, that's not correct.
okay,
Level Up
sorry.
Dice is not allowed to own any Australians are not allowed to own a business in China, so it's all run through family and friends over there, but it's still owned. So no, Level Up Dice does not own the business over there because we're not allowed to legally, because China would not let us. So that I want to make sure
So,
everything's transparent and
yeah.
100% honest.
So then how does that impact what the standards are for the people that are working in the workshop that are directly related to the cubes is
because
what yeah.
because we've designed the standard. Because I'm still making in charge of it and making sure it's all running over there. I just don't legally, as Australian business, own it because I'm not allowed to because that's how China works. I am I have more Chinese elements than my wife does. She's Chinese. I have SIM card. I have bank accounts and everything else that is Chinese. So it's I have it's the ownership not Level Up Dice. Okay, that's the key. The key is that Level Up Dice as an entity cannot own anything in China. So when Bree said Level Up Dice owns it, that's the wrong wording, and we don't want to say anything that is incorrect factually. Um, cool. So
I think we might need to touch just a little bit more on that. And I know that's I know you've given a concise answer, but I think we need to go a little bit more on that. Um, firstly, it's a very complicated situation in terms of business ownership in China, and so I apologize. I don't have a full working knowledge of that, but I do. Um,
so
I don't know how to
Alex
word what I'm
Abrade
trying to
is a
say. But
different
yeah,
Alex Abrade is a different entity to Level Up Dice, but a lot of people refer to me as Level Up Dice. So the stakes there are owned. They're not. I cannot say without lying to you guys that Level Up Dice as PTY Ltd owns it because they're not allowed to. No one in China no one outside of China. Um, well, there is some billion-dollar companies who can find ways around it. Can physically own that. I have family over there. I have friends over there who can own things for me. There's no lie there, but that we cannot say and
we don't
I'm sure
physically,
there's
don't, yeah.
confusion. We do own the process. We own everything that's going on there. We control everything that's going on in our stone workshop, for example, right? I can tell you that I know every single individual there, and I'm the one who's going, yes, that's how much they should be paid. Um, I just physically, legally, as an entity, an Australian entity can't own a Chinese company, and that's the fact of it. If we want to go into that, we can go into that a lot more down the track. I can tell you guys how to own businesses in China, um, but it's not something that I think it's really about the BTM project at the moment. Everyone there, um, I sign off on what they're getting paid and how they're taken care of.
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
important for me.
think
I'm usually there for 4 months a year. I'm usually there 3 to 4 months a year, and COVID's been just horrible because it hasn't allowed me to leave the country, and I haven't been able to be with my team over there. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
and
I think
I know that's a very complicated question, and I know that it's not one which I think, just to clear some stuff up as well, which I think is why um if things weren't understood and communicated differently, that there may have been misunderstanding there. And I don't think that was just misunderstanding coming from what, like, it's, playing a game of telephone in some respects, trying to convey a really kind of complicated issue. Alex can explain that to me, and then I can explain it to you. And I apologize if I got any of that information wrong. I do think that is something that people are really interested in knowing about. I also know that we're not going to solve that complicated issue in a live stream on Instagram when we're trying to address a whole bunch of issues. What I think people want to know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I think what people want to know is that the people that are working in the workshop that we have a connection to, a much more solid connection than other manufacturing aspects that happen in, an overseas country, want to know that the people who will be touching their product, who that are involved in the process that they're buying into, are looked after, that are paid accordingly, and they're working in safe conditions. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think that's what, without going into the complexities of it, I think people want to know they're not taking advantage of other people, and other people
They're my
aren't.
friends and family.
Yeah.
They're my fucking friends and family. I would never do anything untowards to them, to anyone who's a friend or family. I mean, I want to give them the absolute best.
Yeah.
I can sit here for hours telling you, but I think that sums it up. I would always do the best for my friends and family. And every single person working for us all around the world, I have sat down and I have met their families. I have been there when they've cried on my shoulder. I have gotten drunk with them. I would do anything for them. Sorry, because
No,
I can't imagine not taking care of them. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. I think I'm sorry I pushed you hard on that, Alex. I know that, and it's I know that it's something that people will want to ask. If you need to take a break, Alex, I can do this. Like, it's completely understandable. Oh,
I'm so sorry. I don't want to be unprofessional. Sorry, guys. Next question.
I think that we should take a break. I think that I think it's important. I'm sorry that I pushed hard on that. Yeah. I think let's take a break. I think that we all need to have a little bit of time. I think we need to have a drink. We need to Thanks, guys.
No. I'm keen. We need to get through this. It's okay, bro. I'm okay. I'm okay. Sorry, guys. I really apologize. My people mean a lot to me. I care a lot about them. I care about you guys. But, let's go to the next question, Bree. That will help. Revealing the project prematurely. Why?
Please make this be a brief question.
Sorry, you read the question. I'm gonna have a drink. Oh, emotions.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think see.
I'm going to take a minute to just talk about us as people as well, and that's probably going to set me off for a second. But
Your
and it is relevant to this question. It's relevant to everything that we're addressing. We're passionate people. It's a fucking tagline, and it seems cheap and it seems unauthentic, but we care. And at different points, we have both broken down about this because we don't want to be harmful to the community. We don't want to hurt any of you. We genuinely want you to be okay, and we genuinely care about you as makers, and as people that we see as peers, and the people who love the things that we love. Um, and we aren't we aren't experts at all of this. I can tell you a bunch of stuff that we're really fucking great at. Alex's brain is amazing at R&D. He's amazing at coming up with a bunch of really innovative ideas. And there's a huge passion to drive the industry that we're in and to make things amazing, to make really, like, frankly, really cool shit. We really want to do that. We want to make stuff that people will look at and say, this is amazing. This process is amazing. And we want you to be able to do it as well. It was revealed prematurely. Absolutely, it was revealed prematurely. 100%. And I can tell you, and I'm not gonna, I want to be really, really careful about how I say this because I don't want to seem like I'm just gonna be, if this doesn't come out right, I apologize, not my intent, but we all got excited because we're excited about what we're doing and we were making cubes, which seems so fucking, anyway, we were making cubes and we were joking about, you know, the Cthulhu cube and what are these cubes, and it's so obscure that no one knows what we're doing, and we wanted to share that with you. We wanted to show you these cool things that we were doing, and that excitement took over the logical way of presenting a project that is going to have a huge impact. And we were sitting in a space where we'd had time. We'd had a lot of time. We've been working on this. Alex and I had been working on this for years. Some of the artists that we were working with had been working on this for months. Other people, it had been at least weeks, at least a couple of months that we had had time to process this together. And really, we were operating in an echo chamber, I guess, as a part of a beta testing. And we were like, when can we do this? When can we share with people what we were doing? And we said, we want to be as transparent as possible. We want you to be able to share what you can share. We want you to share your excitement. So if you want to share cubes, yes, go ahead and do it. We don't have anything to hide. We think it's a great process. We're at the point where we don't think that.
I'm okay. It's all right, buddy.
Well,
you have a good day. Okay? Love you.
We really wanted to. We were at a point where we felt, and I guess I'll go a little bit into NDAs here as well. We felt safe in our research and development. We felt that we've been at a place where no one else is going to come in and see this and then try and replicate it, in terms of, when we don't mean you guys, we mean the people that are replicating, you know, the mass manufacturers that are replicating our handmade dice, the mass manufacturers that have replicated new R&D designs that we've come up with, like raised obsidian and ionized stuff. Like, we try and be the forefront, and so we always keep at least a protection shield around that. And that's what the NDAs were for, because when we reached out to people, we were still in beta. We had a certain amount of knowledge, and we're still in beta now. But we had the knowledge, and we thought, yes, okay, we have enough of a lead on this that we feel safe sharing this information now.
Yeah. Address other parts.
Sorry, I was just going to say, did we, you know, think about what impact that would have? Not enough. We acted out of excitement. It was premature. We thought, yes, we're safe to release information. Let's do it now. Let's tell everyone about everything now. And we didn't have processes or procedures or ways to get you information that we should have gotten you as quickly as possible. We weren't prepared for that. And I'm sorry about that. Your beta testers don't have their product back, Alex.
Well, and just to finish off on that, that is me to a nutshell. So Bree was saying some good things on that, like R&D and that. I'm not really good at organization and communication. That's one of my biggest faults. And I have some amazing people around me that help with that. But I've always done Level Up Dice with, hey, this is a new idea, let's just go for it. Go. And it was wrong, and we made a mistake there. We're really sorry. And it did come out at the wrong time, and everything just perfect storm, and here we are reeling in it, and we're really sorry about that, and that's why we want to get all the answers to you guys as well. Can you actually deliver what you say you can? I think so. We're still in beta, so until we go live, it's not me acknowledging we can, just because that's why we're in beta, because we want to make sure we can. We ran into a resin softness issue recently, which is the biggest delay, and we're trying to figure that out at the moment. How scalable is this? Very scalable. I'm using maybe one CNC machine. We've got 8 others in there not doing much. Is there a maximum order quantity? Test us. I don't know. Send us how many cubes you want. We'll go from there. If I send
I
100 cubes
will.
and everyone,
That again is the excitement and the challenge of Alex
that's
knowing
the
that we
Alex.
can do something, and then Bree needing to work out how we do something. At the moment, yeah, if you ask for something, I will give you the most concise answer about if it's possible and if we can do it. Usually the answer is going to be yes, it's possible. Yes, we can probably do it. We'll need time. We'll need time to work out
Yeah.
how that gets done and how to research it, and also how I can make it happen in a concise way for you so that there is solid information and I have a timeline and things like that. And things are going to change there. Things are going to go up and down, but uh, all I can try and do is give you the information we know.
If I send 100 cubes in, everyone else sends in tons of cubes, will the turnaround time be vastly longer? So again, we're in beta. We're aiming to have a turnaround time of when you send it to and you're getting it back to about 3 to 4 weeks. We're finding ways to improve that. We're finding ways to make that better. At this present time, when we go live, that's our goal, 3 to 4 weeks. And that should be if you send 100 cubes, if you send in 1 cube, if you send 1,000. When no one's done this before, we're learning as we go. Whenever you're at the forefront of an industry, we're going to figure out things that do and don't work. Help us figure it out together. Next question.
You have mentions of IP and copyright, legal, accounting, and marketing support on your website. What does this mean? What does it look like? Are there links on? There are links on what? Sorry, it looks like there are links on your website, but there's no more information. I guess we'll start. You have mentions of IP and copyright, legal, accounting, and marketing support on your website. If we start with IP and copyright, what does that look like?
So we Level Up Dice have been helping handmade dice makers for quite a while with things like IP issues and copyright issues, just because we can, and we've been friends with people. And the biggest one, I think, it happened like October last year when this company started going around claiming they owned 5-pointed stars on dice, and they started directly going towards handmade artists, which I'm sure a few of them are probably in this channel right now. And they were telling them that we're going to come after you, we're going to do legal action, and these artists were like, hey, what do we do? And so Level Up Dice made a die with a star in it, waited for these guys to come at us directly, and then we took on our lawyer, who is really good at this sort of stuff, and said, fix it. And he did, and the company now no longer can go after anyone in the industry. They signed a document that says we will not pursue 5-pointed stars and everywhere else. So what does that mean? It means that, hey, if you have an issue on copyright or anything legal, if you want to talk to us, let us know, and we will hook you up with the people who we think are best for it. My IP lawyer is also part of Gamma, which is a tabletop industry group. So I found what I believe the best IP lawyer on the market, or on the planet, who understands tabletop and dice. And I will share that individual with you if you need it, because we want to, support you guys as much as possible.
Yeah,
So,
I think the biggest thing with that is that they're like, and I'm going to talk as a small maker for a second, it's extremely intimidating to tackle something like IP law, copyright, legal, accounting, all of those those big, big issues on your own. And one, if you go to like, I wouldn't know what lawyer to go to. I want to make sure that I can get somebody who understands what I'm talking about. For example, I went to an accountant and got really bad information because they never had to deal with this kind of a situation before. So those services are there so that we can say, these are the people. This isn't going to be you, like paying Level Up Dice for legal costs. This is, we can help you find somebody who knows your situation and can help you through the unique environment that is dice making as a business, because it's incredibly intimidating to try and do that on your own. And I know, because I've tried to do it on my own and it was hard. So like, the intention of those services is making sure that we can connect you with people that can help you. Um, it's no
Wonderful.
good if we give you this service and then it's not sustainable for you. It's no good if we can provide you with this service and then you run into IP and copyright issues and you run into problems with accounting, and that stuff is crippling. Essentially, the whole idea of BTM is that we are dice makers. And I'm talking about Bree for a second. Like, as a dice maker, trying to make a living out of something that we're passionate about, we have a certain level of knowledge about different things. And I'm a dice maker. I'm not an IP lawyer. I don't know how to do that. So I like, if I was faced with doing that in a big industry, I wouldn't know how to. And if you do, that's great. That's fine. But we want to be able to arm you with the tools to be able to be successful at this, because we don't want you to be crippled by things. And I don't know
I
how.
think the key concept here of how and why we can do this is I've had to deal with legal issues, I've had to deal with accounting issues. Currently, I've had to deal with it in three or so countries, and I will eventually probably deal with it more. Sneak surprise of one of the questions where we were meant to be setting up a warehouse in Ireland. We'll get more back to more of that later. So I've already made those relationships. I've already explained and taught for people for our accountants, for example, don't understand dice. They now know dice back to front because they've had to deal with me for the last 2, 3 years. Why would I not share an individual who's learned about dice with you guys? Why would I not share a lawyer who's absolutely the best and understands the dice market back to front? It's just a no-brainer. We've worked on those people, and we want to go forward with that. And there's a lot more to this question. So that's
So just
how
for
we're going to do
one
it. It's
second,
basically
1 second, will these services cover all legal areas or just those that are LUD based? Um, no, it's not like this. Yes, it will
nothing
cover
to do with blood.
all legal areas, not just LUD based stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is us. Literally, this is me going, hey, I've made some really cool people in these services. I've met accountants that understand dice to front now. Met lawyers who love board games and understand dice. Do you guys want to use these services? What do you need? Come to me and say, I've got this issue. We'll be like, cool. This is my little book of everyone I know. Have a chat to this person. They're going to be the best person that helps you with it. And it's, I guess, just sharing the painstaking issues of going through a whole bunch of accountants and lawyers who weren't able to help to find the right ones. Um, and so that's really all. That's what this service is us going, hey, we've found who we think are the best people at this. If you want to use them, go for it. And there's been questions of like, hey, I'm starting this out, and I don't know if I need to get a trademark yet, and I can give my own personal experiences of when I thought a trademark was, and then who can help you with it, or how to do it without going through a lawyer as well. I know the second part of this question is about packaging. So we have, it's still in the beta, but we've partnered up with the All Seeing Die, who is an amazing couple of hand makers out of Seattle, and they make probably the best bespoke packaging we've ever seen. And we had a chat with them and said, would you be interested in making your packaging for handmade artists who are interested in getting something a bit more bespoke or want to concentrate on their dice, whatever the case is. And they were super keen as well. So we're currently designing a menu. We've got the first draft, and the menu will show you the different levels and what they can do. And so they'll be the forefront of the partnership we're designing to offer you guys amazing packaging. Also, on the other side of that, the packaging for anything if you need larger amounts, we're going to create relationships there to help you out as well. Um, I think there was a bunch of people asking about outside of Oz US. So currently, most of my contacts are in Oz US, but I have a range of contacts I can contact. So, for example, I can talk to Eric, my IP lawyer, and say, "Hey, Eric, do you know anyone? Have you guys worked with anyone in Europe before?" And he might go, "Actually, I've worked with someone in France." And then I'll catch up with the French lawyer, and go, "Hey, what do you know about dice?" "Nothing. Let me give you a quick intro." And so we'll try to help you find what you need anywhere. That's what we're about. I Yeah. Uh, Hopefully, we can do the whole world eventually. It'd be amazing. But we can start off with what we have got and share those with you, and then go from there.
Okay. What does Live gain from offering this?
I mean, do we go the soppy route first? I get the satisfaction I know I can help. But that's probably not the answer everyone wants to hear. Our CNC machines are working again. We're designing new ideas. My life is based on innovation. We still are the innovators of the stone handmade side of the market. I mean, Race Obsidian was ours. Now, big corporate, everyone has it. Ionized dice were ours. Layered rainbows were ours. This is another cool new big project, an idea that, sure, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, I don't want big corporate to take over handmade, etc., or even use that term, but that's a different discussion. Um, I get the whole reason of why I started Level Up Dice, and people, it's up to you if you believe me or not. That the fact of the matter, the truth is that I create a space that I want to bring as many people as possible into the tabletop industry and work in a place that they love and with things that they love. And if I can help more people, then I am super happy. I was a corporate shill in my 20s, and I realized that was not who I wanted to be. I hated myself, and um, I learnt and changed a lot in the last 10 years of how to be supportive, better about helping others and everything. So I guess for me, really, it's probably not the answer you guys want to hear, but it's the truth.
It's also, and I think the thing is that, not, and it might also be seen as a cop out answer, but, not everyone is motivated by money, right? What do we get out of it? I'm not a person that's motivated by money. I'm not going to lie. I need money. I need to make money so that I can feed my family, so I have a roof over my head, so that I'm secure, and can take care of the people that I love. It's a necessity. It's not why I do anything that I do. And I know that's the same for Alex. The thing that drives Alex, and it's taken me, because we're geared to believe that is what people want, right? In any kind of thing, we are geared to believe that's what people want. People want money. I think that we're getting something out of this, absolutely, and we are getting money out of this to be able to support our families, because we have to. I have to have a job. Level Up Dice has to make money so that they can pay me, so that they can pay Dave, so that they can pay Alex, so that our families have food and shelter and security. They're things that have to happen, they're necessities. Why do we do this? What do we get out of this? Alex is driven by a challenge, and I can tell you that 100%. He is driven by wanting to be the best at what he does. He is driven by wanting to make innovations in this industry. And yeah, some of that is cheeky, and some of that is so that he can do something to say that he's done it, like make something incredible and crazy and insane. And that's what powers Alex. And that hasn't been something that I was prepared to know straight away. I when I first met Alex, my walls went up, and he can tell you that. And I have the ability to have known him for years now, and to learn about how his brain operates, because it's not a normal brain. Sorry, Alex, none of us have
It's
normal
not.
brains, but
I'm proud
what
of it.
does what does Level Up get out of it is twofold, right? Alex gets to push the innovation. He gets to give himself a challenge. He gets to look at that and then say, I did that and I'm proud of it. And
Love it.
then and then we get to do something that we love, that we're passionate about, that we adore, in a community that we adore, which is the dice community specifically. For me, it's the handmade community specifically. At a larger scale, it's RPGs, it's role playing, it's things that I fucking love, and I can do that, and I can also feed my family, and I can do that without working 3 jobs to do it. That is what Level Up gets out of this, and quite frankly, that's what we want you to get out of this as well. And I know that probably sounds like a load of bullshit, but all I can do is tell you exactly how I feel, exactly what I'm getting out of it. And, if I get to go and meet a bunch of really cool people, if I get to meet people like the All Seeing Die and Riley and Hannah and see the amazing things that they do with packaging, I want to share that with you as well. I want to use that. I want to build them up and say, this is amazing. Look at what they can do. And then I want to do that all over the world. And I want to be able to go to conventions together. And I want us to be able to build each other up and this is how we know how to do that. These are the tools that we have, and that's how we know how to share that. And that's what we get out of it. And yes, some of that is the necessity of money, but it's not what's driving us. I do need to feed my family. I do need to have a roof over my head. And I do need to be able to do that without working a 40-hour-a-week job and then working 100 hours at making dice on the side. Because if I want this to be my passion, and I want this to be something that drives me professionally so that I can be the best that I can be, I can't do all of it at once. It's not sustainable. And that's my soapbox rant about what BTM is and what is driving the driving force behind it, I guess.
And that's why the first question when I talk to my accountants isn't a profit question. I want to make a sustainable business. I don't care about making it a profitable business. Sure, that may sound weird, especially coming and talking to a lot of people who money is like the end goal for things. For me, the end goal is to make people better and the industry better. Again,
don't talk to me, Laura.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex. Professional breeding.
No, that's okay. But that's why the questions with my accounts isn't about profit, because we're not. We haven't made much of a profit because I keep just reinvesting it and bringing it to more people. But we could just sit there and tie around in circles a lot. Question 8. Eight.
Did we finish that?
We're trying to get through as quick as on. I think so.
Hold on, because it was a big one. What does this mean? Who's providing your packaging? What is gain for this? What are the costs for makers? Is it pro bono? Do we pay? What do people? I think we've answered that. If we haven't, let us know and we'll go back to it.
Yeah. Currently, everyone wants to participate. Has sent blanks to locations US and Oz. Are there plans to expand to more drop points in the project, specifically places like UK, EU, South America? It seems very exclusive. You say it's for everyone, but the monetary barrier for entry isn't accessible to a lot of people outside of US and Oz. Well, I think there's 2 parts to this question. The first is we want to do as much as possible. We actually were looking at setting up a warehouse in Ireland. We actually have that for Ireland, which that's a whole different issue because they're not giving it to us now. Back in 2020 was meant to be the plan. COVID hit. We're one small little company. We really are. And we will do everything we can here. But we don't want to monopolize. So trying to offer it to the whole world might not be physically possible or might not be economically possible for us. So if someone else wants to take this up in the EU or in South America, go for it. I think it's a great idea. And in fact, if you're that person, send me a message and I'll tell you all the pitfalls of what I did setting this up so you don't make those same mistakes. Having competitors is not a bad thing. In fact, when he says I'm driven by being the best and everything else, I love having competitors because if I'm just doing it by myself, I get bored. So I'd love to offer it. We'd love to offer it to the whole world. Is that going to be viably possible? I don't know. We're only a small amount of people. But if you're someone who thinks maybe I should do this for EU, reach out. Maybe we can partner, or maybe I can help mentor you on what did work and didn't work, and you can set up your own business for it. That'd be amazing. I think offering this to more people is really the key.
Or if
but
you
are we going to do it? I don't know.
Or if you have some way of being able, you think you have some way of being able to facilitate those things and answer some of these questions, like on honestly, you can email us, you can get in contact with us, and we can work together to find a solution to those. We don't have one right now. Next question.
We'd love to, yeah. But
Um,
we're just small people.
Will makers be refunded if dice fail to cure, bubbles cannot be cut away, machine failure, or if dice are lost in transit? Will they be compensated for just materials or time, or for the potential cost of what they could sell them for? That is a big potential loss of money if 10 sets of cubes go missing.
Is this a me one?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. Okay. So, we've been manufacturing for lots of companies for a long time. So we have standard manufacturing agreements and such. Things like when something enters our possession, we're responsible for it. Um, Things like we have a deal with DHL that do our shipping, so that they have insurance on it as well. So we haven't worked out everything about it. We know that what the bare minimum line is, and the bare minimum that we will definitely do, no matter what, is we will refund any costs you had with us, and any costs for the shipping to us, and any resin costs at the bare minimum. That's not saying that's what we'll do. I don't know what it looks like. I really hope that sort of stuff doesn't happen. If something happens uh, to the dice cube themselves that is done by us as a mistake, we'll take care of that. If you send us a cube that is just completely full of bubbles and doesn't work, we won't take care of that because you've supplied us a material that we can't work on. I'm sure this will grow as we develop this process, but we will base it off our standard manufacturing agreements to start with, which is if you send us a material, if there's a problem with the material, it's your responsibility. If there's a problem with us doing something to the material, it's our responsibility. And we will, of course, own that the whole way.
And there will be, as Alex said, a clear document that will be documented
Yeah.
clearly in terms, like our terms and conditions and things like that.
When we
Yeah, we'll
launch,
let you know.
correct.
Um, do you have a recommended list of resins? Kind of. We, I'm going to say this a lot. We're still experimenting. We're still testing. We're still in beta. When we launch, these are all of the questions that we are working on solving for you as well. So if we say we don't know, when we launch, we will not launch until we have answers to these questions. Do we have a recommended list of resins? We are working through, I think it is like 15 to 17, 15 to 17 different types of resin. When we launch, we will say, these are our findings. This is what we've discovered. This is what works best. This is what we've found is difficult. These are the pitfalls of that. And we will generate a list of recommended resins for you. In saying that,
Yeah.
one of the services that I really would like to offer is that hopefully we can also get you have more affordable access to that recommended list of resins as well, because we want this to be as accessible to you as possible. We're not going to be able to, if we could make this a free service and we didn't have any overheads, then we'd probably
We
fucking do
would.
it. But we can't.
But
Sorry. Sorry for
if we have
swearing as well.
200 makers who want to use this service, and we go to a large resin company, which is what we're planning to do, and go, hey, all of our makers are using the service. We think your resin is a good resin for this. Would you give them all a discount if they bought it from you? We're bringing 200 people to you. I'm sure they'll say yes. And so the more we band together and work together, the more advantages we can all get as well. As a handmade dice community, we should be approaching these big resin companies and going, hey, we are all using your resin. Take better care of us. This
And
allows at least us to try doing that, for everyone.
to clarify
I
that
don't
as
know
well,
about Minecraft yet.
the the service menu that we have at the moment, they're not like you have to do cubes to be able to access
I don't know
this,
if it's
right?
not
If
there. I
you
don't know
have,
where it is.
it's the only thing you want to do with the BTM service is to send an email and say, hi, I've heard that you can hook me up with an IP lawyer. Can you facilitate that? Then we will say yes. We're not going to lock you in on signing some big scary contract, which then you have to like produce 1,200 million cubes and then send them to us. What we are going to do is say, yes, here you go. And it would be the same with, you can access any part of those services, whether they're free or not. you can access those. For example, if we have this, like we don't want there to be, we want you to be able to access wholesale resins as well. We can get them and we can say, hey, we're going to bring customers to you that want resin at a cheaper price if they use you. I'm not going to say just because you don't use cubes, you can't access that service. That's not what's going to happen. If you're not interested in anything else other than getting cheaper resin, I can send you that information as well. Now I haven't done that step of the process yet. I need to work all of that out. I need to do all of the back of house things. Probably going to say this a million times, but this is what we are wanting to do and what we're trying to do, and it's not going to be like an exclusive club that you can't take part in. And we will be, that part is going to be a little easier. We will be able to contact resin providers and material providers that are global, because we wouldn't be buying that material and then shipping it to you. We would just be directing you to that company.
The BTM project allows us to give them numbers because companies like that like numbers, so we'll go from there. But I think we've answered that question. Any more questions, just let me know.
Finishing and is that what we're up to? Oh no, how to make.
Is there a timeline? Where are you? Okay. Is there a timeline for when this will be released to the public? A timeline for R3 pre-orders? There was, and then we had problems with soft resins. Basically, not. We had a lot of softer resins, and we're working that out. So we could have made a decision and gone, you know what? You can only send us a certain resin. It has to be this hardness. Instead, we're trying to figure out how we can work with as many different resins as possible and as many different softnesses, so that we have a more encompassing service, as opposed to you have to do it this way or we can't help you.
My answer to this is going to be as straightforward as I possibly can make it. Is there a timeline for when this will be released? When it's ready. When we have done all of the R&D that we can, and we know that this is something that works, and we are set up to be able to communicate information to you properly. That might be a little longer now, because I really want to make sure that I'm giving you concise information. This conversation isn't going to end today with this live either. I'm happy to keep talking about it. I'm happy to give community updates, but we aren't going, it's going to be released when it's ready. Same with the pre-orders. It's going to be released when it's ready. And we're going to do our best to make that happen as soon as possible, but we're not going to release it if we can't. we're not going to say send us all your cubes if we don't know that we can give you a good solid quality product back. We are very confident, and we think that the R&D process is going really well. The beta is going really successfully. We think that people who have stuff with us at the moment will get those back in a very timely manner. We're probably looking at that. Alex, do you want to? We can touch on that later.
No, we can. I think we've answered that. We don't have a date at the moment. Please stay tuned. We will make sure that when we do launch, everything's good to go. That's what we want to do for you guys. We're in beta. How do makers get their font and logo to LUD?
Right, that's me. That's a me question. They send us. I have files that are the types of file types that we need. There is a lot of different services under that blanket font and logo section. We don't have concise. I'm going to be completely upfront. We don't have concise procedures right now at this second of how you would design a logo with LUD and all of those different things. If you have a font that you use on your dice and you have that font file, it could be something that you've downloaded as an open source from Google, or it might be something that you have already. You can email us that font file, and we could take that font file and put it on dice for you. If you have a logo, you could email us that logo in the form of a vector, and we can put that on dice for you. There's a few things that need to happen on the back end, but if you have that very baseline standpoint, that's what we need, and that's what we can take and make into something. If you give us the correct file types and things like that, there isn't an additional cost for putting your font and logo on the dice. That is part of that cube service. Now, if you want to design something new, or you have an STL that you've had designed somewhere else, or you have a picture of your logo, or if you have a doodle of what you want your font to look like, we can work with that too. We will need to um, design the processes to be able to get there that for you and get you the right information so that we can communicate things concisely. But that is part of that process as well. Right now, all we need is the font file. And if you want to, you might even want to use a logo on your dice. Baseline is a font file and
Use
it's
20
emailed to
logos.
me. Yeah. There is
Um,
more to that, which we would go into, but we don't need to do it here.
yeah, cool. Finishing polishing. Is it an opt-in type of thing? Is it mandatory? Will it cost extra for the service? Um, I can do this quickly and succinctly. Originally, we were just going to offer send us a cube, you get back a die, and you have to ink it. But people in beta said, what happens if we want to polish it ourselves? And so we said, cool, go for it. What else do we want to do this? So we've made polishing an option. If you don't want to have it, you don't have to. But part of our complete service is cube comes in, or blank from R3B mode comes in, you get back a die that all you should have to do is ink.
Awesome. This is,
Next
yeah.
question.
Okay, this is one that I've seen come up a lot. Were there disabled people involved in the beta? I feel like accessibility is an incidental benefit. I feel like as a disabled maker, I am being used as a shield. I want to apologize that you've felt like that. I'm that wasn't the right wording for that apology. I'm
We
sorry if you have been used as a shield. I don't want that to happen to you. Uh, you're right. It wasn't
we haven't
this
used you as a
process.
shield though, like
Yeah.
our words.
This
Um,
process was not designed to like I use the word. I've been using the word accessibility a lot, and I don't know if that has. Oh, I need to stop for a second. You go,
okay,
Alex.
yeah. So we designed this process to make Bree be able to make 100 sets of dice a month, so she wouldn't kill herself, or she wouldn't burn out. Um, so that's why we designed this process. It wasn't designed around accessibility. That's an added extra benefit, which amazingly came out of it. When we were first beta testing it, what we searched was for what people could do design-wise and what materials they could use. We didn't look at the individuals. We said, find us some Petri porous. Find us. Let's find some UV resin individuals. I'm really bad at saying the particulars, but we wanted to get as much of a scope as possible to test the cube.
Yeah.
And an added benefit came out of it was accessibility. But I know that we've never stated that this was designed around disabled being accessible, about being about the disabled maker. It's an added benefit that's come out of it, but we haven't
I mean,
used those words, and I'm sorry those have come out. That's correct.
I think the best thing that the best way that I can, or how I'm thinking about it, and the best way I can describe it, and I'm sorry, I do want to choose my words carefully. I don't want to be harmful to anyone or anything that I say. I don't want to make somebody feel bad. That's just fluff. It doesn't matter anyway. But what the the biggest thing that I want to do is to be able to make dice making as accessible as possible for everyone. I'm not going to be able to do that entirely, but like if you're having trouble because you are having accounting issues and we can help with that, I want to be able to do that. If you don't know how to put together a pressure pot and you would like some help with that, I want to be able to do that. If you're having accessibility issues because it's not manageable for you to sand something for 5 hours, I want to be able to help with that too. So it's just there's a multitude of different ways that we can make this easier for everyone. That's what I want to do.
That's okay. We didn't state that. We think it's wrong that it was stated. That we didn't design it around that. We designed it around stopping burnout from 100 sets. And we chose people based on what they were doing as a cube, so we could test the process. Next question. There was a PR pack leak. Why hasn't there been an updated PR pack? So there has been an updated PR pack, but we're not even confident in releasing it now because the first PR pack was just us putting a bunch of words together and saying, hey, what do you guys think? And that's been twisted. I definitely will state that me personally, I thought balance would help, and that was an input I put in. And then every single beta tester said, no, that's not what you should be using, everything else. And that is part of beta testing, is to go to experts who can then help us make sure we have a good PR pack, which I don't think we even do a PR pack anymore. It's like we're offering a service, we're not telling you how to use that service. But I think the important thing to mention here is that PR pack was a work in process. We were putting ideas down and asking for feedback. So if you want to take those words as verbatim, you can take them as these were our initial ideas, and then we asked for people to tell us what they thought of it, and if they thought it was good or bad. And a lot of the things that came up in the PR pack that people didn't like were removed nearly instantly. We haven't released a new one because we don't even know if we should be releasing a PR pack. Is that even our responsibility? Is that even our job?
Yeah, I think this is a very new concept, and frankly, and it's been a large part of what the discussion has been. How do we differentiate this from what has been happening in the past? What do we say about it? And it was a big concern for a lot of people that were involved in the beta. What do we say? How do we market this? Like, what do we do? And this was an initial idea of, here are some words. This is absolutely not a free, because I mean, fuck it, I wrote the PR pack. Like, it was in collaboration with the team, but it was like, these are some ideas of how you could speak about this. And then I took it to people and they said, this isn't right. And so I said, okay, the conversation changed, and the conversation is continuing to change. I don't think we have the right answer. We wanted to give people language to differentiate their work from what was existing, so that people had clear ideas, so that customers had clear ideas between the difference and the similarities. Was precision balanced the right one? No. We've been told that, and I appreciate it. Is handmade the right label for this? I've been told no. So I'm bringing this and saying, these are our initial ideas while we're in beta. These are ideas of how we can market it, of word language that you could use. You don't have to use it. If you want to, you can. And we were told that it wasn't appropriate. And if it's not appropriate, then we go back and we continue that discussion and say, how do we differentiate these two things? It is important to us that happens. I don't have the answer for that right now. Ideally what we wanted to happen was for there to be something that people could put on their product if they wanted to say this was a part of the BTM process. We missed the mark on it. And we were learning, right? We were asking, hey, is this what you guys think? These are our ideas. That's it. And ideas aren't cemented into how we're going to run this whole project or anything else. This is just trying to figure it out. What is the plan with the UK-EU VAT situation? Import taxes make this potentially prohibitive for makers in these locations. It does. Currently, we are a small business. We can give you access to a warehouse in the US and Australia. That's the size of our scope. We don't have countless dollars sitting around that we can just do something, offer something different. We're not a giant corporation. We haven't got hundreds of people. As I said, we don't make giant profits. We live as close to being stable and secure as possible. So we want to do all that sort of stuff. I don't know if we will. I can offer a product with the locations we have currently and go, hey, this is something that you guys can access, and hopefully we will work something out for EU, or someone else will come along and go, hey guys, I'm going to do the same thing in the EU, and they will get our complete blessing. In fact, if you're that person in the EU that thought that they're thinking, I could probably make this happen, chat to me and we will send every single EU person that comes to us to you. I want this to be successful across the whole industry. I don't have the money to make it go everywhere.
not maybe if this becomes super successful, we will have some more money and we can make it go everywhere as well. So we're going to do what we can. We understand it's painful for you all there. I am in conversation with a UK based board game location that may be happy to do something with us so we can do single shipments and everything else. I can't promise anything. I want to do as much as possible, but we're also limited by how much we can do because we're not some giant conglomerate that has billions of dollars that can just go and stamp down a location everywhere. I really wish we could. So I'm sorry. I know it's not a solution. I don't know if we can supply a solution at the moment. We can only do what we're capable of in our own restrictions.
It's in our if it's on our radar, and if there is something that we can do to rectify that, we will.
Yeah. All right. Environmental impact questions.
US
Which I think
step of what is happening, saying new recycle isn't enough. I feel like your previous statements have been dismissive and corporate and greenwashing. CNC cutting of resin turns the resin waste into microplastics, and those are out there forever. Resin is almost impossible to recycle. It doesn't melt down or degrade.
I think I'll do this one. Okay. So first, let's talk about the microplastics because we have been working on metal dice for 5 years, and they create very fine little dust specks of titanium and tungsten and stainless steel and copper. And we have a giant suction machine that grabs most of it because that's super dangerous for anyone to work on. We don't want anyone to work in a dangerous situation. Environment, and so we have the same process, of course, pretty much ready to go, that sucks in as much of those microplastics as possible. So that'll gets put into a container, and then we grab all the offshoots and put it in the container as well. Now, for those that don't know, Australia and China have some of the strictest laws in recycling in the world. Even though it's not spoken about, China actually has banned any waste material entering China. Because they don't want to be the people who have to deal with the dumping ground of waste, etc. And they have extremely big laws. Now, we're currently talking to a couple of different recycling companies. The one at the moment that I'm really excited about is AGC Plastics because they're based in Australia and Taiwan. So it means it gives me a nice, good multiple location. They recycle everything into cable covers. So these large underground cable covers done through resins. We're not going to commit to anything until we can see what they do and how well it's taken care of. So our key is to find the best possible partner that makes sure that this resin waste, because as you guys said, and as we all know, resin isn't very easily recyclable, is found to be used in a way that can really not affect the environment as much as possible. Not only because we don't want to, but also because under both Chinese and Australian laws, it's extremely large fees and stuff if we didn't. So that would destroy us as a business. So that's where we're up to. We have 3 different people we're talking to. We haven't committed to any yet because we want to make sure that the whole process is done so we can also go back to you guys and tell everyone this is the whole process as well. So you have confidence in the partners that we've chosen because we care about the environment as well. I think that answers that.
When the R3B reaches the end of its life, will there be a recycling program? Does it fall on the individual to find recycling solutions? Yes, it does. So when the R3B reaches the end of its life, you've bought that product. It will be up to you to find a solution to what you would like to do with that.
Just like buying any other product from any other company. I mean, we don't
like
go
all
back
of
to
the molds that we currently use. All of the molds that we currently use, it's the same
now,
protocol. Once you have it,
if that's a service you think BTM should investigate, we can see if we can find a partnership with someone that can do something with silicon, and that would be available to any mold, not just the R3B. So definitely, if there's something you think would be really cool if we could find a way to make it work, we'll definitely look into that for sure. Um, shipping
This
procedures,
isn't,
sustainability.
yeah, none of this is like a one-sided conversation either. If there's something that you would like us to investigate, I'm not saying that I 100% will be able to find the answer to it, but I can definitely look into it. So if there's, something that is important to the community that they would like us to look into more,
Yeah,
absolutely. Complete willingness to have that conversation and to look into how we can find a solution to do that.
we want to help you guys as much as possible. Like, I, I know it feels like we're just saying the same thing over and over again. That's what we want to do. And we have a few extra abilities that a single person might not. A lot of it's like networking and machinery, and so anything we can find ways to help you guys, we will. Let us know. Let's jump on to the next question. Shipping procedures, the sustainability measure in place, and climate impact that will have. Shipping things via plane across oceans over and over again have huge carbon footprint. Yes, we ship everything once a month, so we reduce the amount of shipping. It's not getting shipped multiple times. We have a partnership with DHL, and we always pay the extra. I've forgotten the term again, Brie. Um,
Carbon offset, right?
the
Carbon
carbon
footprint
offset
offset.
for any of our shipping as well. Um, that's the best we could do in regards to shipping at this time. We are looking at lots of other options that also reduce shipping that I can't talk about, even though the typical Alex would want to share with everyone all the cool things we're working on. We want to let you know that the environment is very important to us. I am currently teaching my 3.5-year-old about planting, and we're learning about veggie gardens because it's always on my mind. Um, we want to make this as ecologically friendly as possible. So we're always open to ideas. We'll do our best we can with every situation we have. But yes, at the moment we do need shipping because that's where our machines are. And if our machines end up somewhere else, then that may change shipping as well.
Um, when calculating the life of the mold, we'll be taking into account different resins. If some produce 30 and others produce 50 pools, will you set the life at 30 or 50? What about those unusual circumstances when resin fuses to the mold and destroys it before the minimum amount? Would a maker have to buy another? And even though the pre-replacement models are guaranteed through the program, what pools fail? Do these count? What about pool fails?
Can
Do
I
these count?
can I grab this one?
Sure.
Yeah. Um, so we will work hard as soon as the R3B molds drop, and we'll have a beta for them as well to try to learn what that proper number is, and that number will change. But once we've figured out what's roughly right, there are certain things we can and can't help with. If you damage your mold, that's your responsibility. If something happens and it affects the life, what we will do is we will continue to refresh those molds based on the sets coming into BTM. So if you have 3 molds and they last 40 and the number is 50 and no one else does 40 because you're doing it in a very special way, then every 50 sets you send in out of the 340s will give you a new mold. So you won't have to be paying for every single new mold, but you'll be paying for whatever percentage of the fifth, if the 50 is the number. So if you're doing 40 out of 50, you're paying 20% of the price of a mold, so to speak. Um, we will work out the actual best numbers we can figure out based on everyone because we want to make this as great an opportunity as possible. And I mean, we're offering free replacement molds. If you have to end up paying 10% because you only can do 45, I don't think that's going to be a big issue compared to how much molds normally cost anyway. So we're super
Oh,
excited to be able to even offer that in the first place.
I'm going to be honest, I zoned out because you started talking about numbers a lot. And my brain was like, I don't even know what that means.
Well, I
Um,
mean that definitely runs into the next one perfectly, which free replacement molds for life. How is this profitable for you? Not everything is
no,
about profit. It's all about
yeah,
sustainability.
I'm
We're
going to
not a
take this
corporate shill
one.
that wants to make profit.
So, free replaceable to life. Um, Using the Kingsfell molds solves a lot of problems that we have with the cubes. So using the Kingsfell mold means that we're able to reduce resin waste. We're also able to open up the use of inclusions. We're able to do a lot of really cool stuff. The cubes are really good for being able to explore different kinds of shapes and different types of pours. And there's going to be a bunch of really cool stuff that we wouldn't have been able to do in a regular mold capacity that we can do if we work on the cubes. The Kingsfell molds are really good for the kind of stuff that we're doing now. It means that we aren't wasting a lot of resin. It also means like they're amazing molds, right? So it means that they're coming out. That just sounds like a sandwich for Kingsfell. Kingsfell, they're amazing. Um, Kingsfell have amazing molds, and they pull dice that don't require as much of a level of finishing, which means that we don't have to spend as much time finishing the dice that you send. It also means that it gives us a consistent framework to work on. There are still going to be variables between different artists, but it narrows those variables. So it means that we have a little bit of consistency in terms of what we have. By replacing them, it means that we are maintaining that level of consistency. And it means that saves us money and effort and time on our end, and it also benefits you. So we don't want this. We want to keep the prices on this as accessible as we can to handmade artists. I am a handmade artist. If somebody came to me, like if I was looking at making dice and it was going to cost me exuberant amounts, I couldn't do it because I don't have that money to invest in it. And if we're going to make this affordable for you, then we need to help on all aspects of it. So the Kingsfell mold is a tool that we want to give to you at the cheapest price that we can, so that you are able to maintain. I think I'm rambling a bit here.
Yeah. If I can jump in and finish off. So I think I'm seeing some messages too. I think the understanding of what profit is not what is probably a misunderstanding of language. Profit is money you make above all expenses in a business, right? We're not worried about making a profit, because as long as the business pays for itself, everyone goes home every day with money to put food on their table that's working for Lud. And if I can bring more staff in, that's more people that can put food on their table and take care of their families. Profit is not important for a business if you're designing a business around taking care of people. Profit allows you to do certain things, but most people take profit and then they take it and they put it in their pocket as well. We will use anything that we make more money on to then reinvest into the business. So how can we not make a profit? It's because we keep reinvesting into our people, into our business, into new ideas, and we want to design a business that can make as much money as it needs to spend. I think that just needs to be sold, because there's a lot of people who are talking about, oh, how can you guys do it without making a profit as well?
I think that my point there was that we want to give you a good service. We want to give you a quality end product, and being able to use the Kingsfell molds means that we can do that. We can make sure that there is we can make sure that the products that we're putting out there is a quality one. And
what we gain from this, from the Kingsfell molds and replacing them free for life, is we gain a partnership and a relationship with Kingsfell, and Kingsfell has a permanent customer that is buying molds off them. So if we go to Kingsfell and go, hey, we'd like to try a new project because our crazy CEO Alex has a stupid idea, and they're more likely to say, yes, we're on board and we'll try it with you. So that's how we gain from doing things like this, where it's a net zero, is we gain the opportunity to try new things and to create partnerships and relationships that let us do different things in the industry. But we should probably move on.
The Kingsfell mold is a tool for us to be able to do that. It's not a profit-based thing. We're getting instructed to drink some water and refresh.
We are?
A little bit. Yeah. So I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. I don't know if you want to keep going or just...
Well, my wife brought me a meat pie, and it's probably gone cold already.
I'm going to get water. I'm going to be back in a minute.
All right. I'm going to throw a little bit of this in my mouth off screen, and I'll be back in a moment.
I'm back with fruit and beverages, and it is just water.
Mm.
Um,
Meat pies. Meat pies are amazing. Oh my god.
let's all go to the lobby animation.
Oh,
Um,
I love meat pies.
you
Um,
guys are people that have been here from the start as well. Please make sure that you are
hydrate.
hydrating and eating food. On a water break is what we've got now. Because look, we've got some more to dive into. Why did I scroll on the document? Because now I can't find where we're up to. Oh,
Okay,
we're
well, we're
in
up to
the
the
blue
first of
spot
other
that says
points.
water break.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, guys. All right.
Will you provide contractual assurances that Lard will not use logos and custom fonts outside of the permission of the maker? Yeah, you go,
Guys,
Alex.
we've been working with um, companies and making dice companies for lots and lots of years. We've made dice for Hasbro, Paizo, big names, Fantasy Flight, Asmondi, etc. So we are used to working with um, logos and contracts and everything else. We don't want to scare anyone, but if you want a contract that states that, that's fine. I was talking about this with I think it was with you, Bree, the other day. We will never use anything that's yours, and we can have that signed, whatever the case is. If we see something really cool, we might go, holy moly, could we do a collaborative with you? That is amazing. And you can say no, and we'll keep going. But we would always want to work with you if there was something really cool in that sort of regard. But we will definitely be having a simple contract, and if you want to actually have access to our manufacturing contract we use for the big boys, that's like 400 pages long. We can give that to you as well. We've been doing this for a while. And that really leads on to, can you guarantee that logos and custom fonts will not find their way into the hands of someone outside of Blood? We will do our absolute darndest. We have a lot of securities in place. We've dealt with big names. We have biometric setups at some of our locations and everything else. So we will do our absolute darndest. It's for us. We've been protecting clients' logos for a long period of time, and we're good at it. It's what we've been doing. Now, will something happen? Will we end up with a disgruntled employee that takes everything? Or if that happens, then we'll follow all legal proceedings required as well.
Will you be checking that submitted logos and fonts are owned by the person submitting them, so that someone can't impersonate someone else?
So I think that really sums into what we just talked about. So we've had clients come up to us and go, hey, we want you to make this dice that has a Bulbasaur on it. And we understand that there are certain things in the world that have IP protection and everything else. And so we went back and go, do you have proof that you own the Bulbasaur, or you have the actual license from Pokemon to make the Bulbasaur dice? And they were like, no, we don't. And then we couldn't make it. We can police as much as we can, but there will be part of the contract that states that you are the owner, or you have the proof or requirements to use whatever logo you're using. There has to be onus on the individual. And of course, if we manufacture something that you've told us you own and then it isn't, then that comes back down to you. You need to be supplying us something that isn't dodgy or bad or wrong. And if you do, and someone finds out, we also need to protect ourselves from that, because we can't spend hours and hours and every day checking every single logo that's coming our way. It's just not what's done. You don't go to Xerox and they print a copy of Lord of the Rings for you, and then they say, do you own this if you want to sell it? They just print it for you in that regard.
So, I mean, in saying that, where if someone comes to us and says this is happening, we're not going to continue providing a service to somebody who is using it nefariously, right? We're not going to keep, if we discover that it is being used in the wrong way, we will not continue doing that. And that kind of leads into, we might have, sorry,
I want to grab this quickly. Any modifications we make so it works on the CNC, we don't own.
Yeah, that's what I was own.
Yeah, you own that. want to make sure
So
that's
I'm
definitely,
going to go into a
yeah.
little bit about what the process would be if we design something with you, if you supplied us with a logo or a font, and what would happen there. So there are a couple of different options. You supply us with a font and logo in the right file formats, and then we put them directly on the dice based off of that. The other one is you might send us something that isn't in the right file format, and you'll have to access a service that means that our our design team and our IT team have to make some adjustments to that. What will happen is that you will send those files to us and we will send you what we end up with. We will send you the ones that we're asked with. So if you ask for us to have, and you might want to do this for something that isn't to use the CNC process. You might want to have your logo turned into something that can be used in a 3D program or something. I'm not IT savvy, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what all of those things are. But we will send you those files back and they are yours. You own them. If you send in a font and a logo, we will send them back in the file type that we need them as well. So you'll have everything that you sent us. You'll also have everything that we use. If we make an adjustment to it, if we change something, it's still not our IP. We don't own it. We're not going to use it on anything. It is yours. And once you use this, if you use this service to have something altered, all of those things belong to you. If you send us an STL file that you need converted for some reason into something else, we will do that. We're not going to keep those files. As soon as that is done, we will send it to you. You own all of your IP. You own all of these files and the access. This is just the service. If we're giving you something to convert a file and that's the service you're accessing, you own that end product. I will send it to you, you will have it, you will own it, even if we have to use it. And we're actually, that is one of the processes we're designing right now, so that, if you did want to go to a master maker, for example, you wanted to go to Kingsfell and get a Kingsfell mold that has, your font and logo and things like that on the dice, you will still have those files that we've made for you. It's not just so that we're not going to keep the things that we need to use them. I'm going in circles, but the other thing is that you don't have to use that with us. So you could use another designer that does logos or that does like glyphic designs and things like that, and you can send them to us and we can then prepare it in the right files, which we'll send back to you. We're not going to hold files. We're not going to make you pay release fees to get things that you own back. It's not what we're about. It's not going to happen. Anything that, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Let's make sure we get the right wording. We're not going to hold files, as in we're not going to keep files from you. We
Yeah.
we will keep files in a database because you've worked with us. So we'll have those files there, and if you want us to delete them at any stage, we can do that as well.
Yeah. If you're doing a return order, you shouldn't have to send the files absolutely every time. I'll make sure that I have access to them and things like that. But it will be, all of this will be communicated and documented as well when you, if you want to access
Once
those
we're out of the beta.
Yeah, once we're out of beta. And like I said, that is my main focus at the moment, is making sure that all of those things are put in place so that we have that transparency and that level of communication. Next question.
So we'll not have access to Maker's proprietary designs and logos. I guess we will, but we're not doing anything with them. We're using them to make your dice. I don't understand if there's something more to that question that I might have been missing. We have to have access to it, otherwise how can we make your dice? So Light itself, as in making dice for themselves, using your stuff, no. As I said a couple of questions ago, if we see something really cool and we want to work with you, we'll approach you and go, hey, can we work with you? And we've done it with quite a few artists already.
Community impact.
All right.
Question number 1. I am concerned that this will hurt handmade makers. This will create a higher expectation for handmade dice quality. How can I be expected to compete with a machine on polishing?
Very good question. I used to have a full standpoint on this, and the whole BTM project has changed my mind 15 times. Um, I think what's really going to hurt handmade makers is the giant conglomerate of factories that are now pushing because of the big Kickstarters and everything else. I think this will give you another option. I hope that with this big bulldozer train, whatever you want to call it, coming, that other people come up with other options as well. The key to staying relevant in an industry and just to say doing successful is to innovate. And that's what we've done in Live Off Dice. We keep innovating, and that's what's kept us in front of the stone industry that continuously couples everything we do. I don't know if this will directly affect. I think this is just going to give you guys a tool. I think there should be 2 or 3 more options and tools coming up soon to help you deal with what's potentially coming down the line. I don't think you need to compete with it, but it's hard because I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't. I think this is what I'm going to say is going to kind of address a lot of different points. I don't think I know how to address each of these singularly, so I want to kind of say something on community impact, and like also, especially with a topic like this isn't something that I can give a definitive answer to, because I don't think there is one. I think this is where a lot of the concern is coming from, right? Like, is this very topic. And I'm going to use an analogy. Bear with me. I will get to a point and I'll try and make sure that I am, like, I don't want to fluff around any questions. I want to make sure that I'm hitting all of these points as best as I can. I just have to work out how to do it. So I think what we're living in at the moment is like this bubble of a handmade dice market. And it is almost entirely contained within social media and in our own community. And then there is this like wider dice community, and then again like a wider RPG community outside of that. And I think all of us at the moment, again, I'm talking as Bree, Forge and Feyvours, but all of us have been, for all of our history, living in this bubble here where it's getting like tighter and there's more of us, and that is fantastic in a lot of ways because we get to make each other better and we get to have amazing friendships and things like that. I'm trying to make sure that my intent comes across in my words. I think what's happening is some things are starting to poke out of this bubble. There's big Kickstarters that are coming. There are more notable makers that branch outside of this community, and so there's little like piercings in that bubble at the moment. And now that the wider dice making mass manufacturing community is more aware of this bubble that we're living in, that is kind of coming into this outside space as well. And I think if we can break out of this social media bubble, if we can together reach this larger market that is outside of the space that we're living in at the moment, it will impact the community less.
I know a lot of people are talking about handmade again. This is a new process. We don't think it's the handmade process that everyone recognizes.
Yeah.
That's not our decision to make. We are offering a service. Please, the community makes that decision. You guys figure it out. We're offering you an ability to do something different. We thought we'd get involved in that, the art pack and everything else. That's not our place. And all the handmade makers in the beta said that's not what you guys should be deciding. And we're like, cool, thank you, that makes more sense. And so I don't think it's a place for us to decide.
Yeah, and
it will definitely change the industry. We're offering a new process. I mean, the cubes have so much more potential to do things like dice that have multiple elements that are detached, for example. So there's going to be new things that are coming out. I don't think it will hurt the handmade process. I think if you have a look at the handmade bubble, we call it a bubble, but the people who love handmade, they're there because they love what you do completely, and they'll always be there. this gives you an opportunity to access more of an industry that's there. Dice industry is huge. Um,
And the
so I
people
guess to
that,
answer that,
yeah, the people
yeah,
that
go
are
on.
already in that space, and like the customers that you have and the following that you have are there because they love what you do and they support you. They support who you are. If you decide that the best thing for you is to not use that service, that's fine. And I think that your customers are going to respect that decision that you've made. And I'm also going to, like Alex and I don't agree on every aspect of every issue. And I think this is one where our, personal bias and our own lives mean that sometimes we don't see eye to eye on this aspect. And not all of us, we're all going to have an individual opinion about community impact. We all are in it. And I wish there was an easy answer for that. Um, I think I did have a point in here somewhere. I think that the people who are buying your product, your customers, they love who you are. They love the uniqueness of your dice. They love what you do. They are aware that handmade dice are going to come with flaws. And that bubble that we're in, they all care about the community, and they're the customers that you're accessing at the moment.
They're not
Are
going to
your
change.
customers going to are your customers going to appreciate your I still appreciate your product if you decide to use a different method to produce your dice? I think they are. I think what is important and special about you is the fact that you're creative, is that you come up with imaginary, beautiful concepts that make you different from other dice makers. And that's what I think is so special about an artistic community. And I don't at any point in time want to take that away from anyone. And that was the biggest question that we had. How do we do something that helps break out of this bubble for the people that want to do so without jeopardizing artistic integrity, creativity, and the things that make people special as artists? And this is the solution that we've come up with.
It's this is designed to stop you having to burn yourself out if you want to make 100 sets a month because you want to turn this into your full-time job. Right? This is a solution that's what it was designed around. The cubes have become so much more. There are so many things that we're playing with right now that you know I'm happy to mention this. Go on our webpage and look up cage dice. We're trying to make that happen with the cubes. That's something you could never make with any RMS mold, with any mold out there. There are so many cool things we want to offer to you guys and we want to design and work from. I don't think we are the right people to make the decisions on, and we shouldn't be making decisions on if this is handmade, this is not, etc. We're literally going, hey, we've got this new service, we've got these machines, please, if you want to use them, they're yours.
I want to just
But I think,
reread this question and try and make sure that I'm not skirting around anything or missing the point. So I'm concerned that this will hurt handmade makers. Like I said, everyone has very different opinions on this. I don't think that your concern is unvalid. I think it's coming out of a place of passion and care and love, and I understand that completely. I hear you. I think that your opinions are important, even if mine are different. Will it create a higher expectation for handmade dice quality? I think that a number of factors are going to demand a higher expectation for handmade dice quality, and I think a big part of that, a big manufacturers that are already coming into this space. I think they're going to be what people who aren't. They're different markets. Like I said, there is the people that understand handmade dice, understand the community. There's the wider dice collecting world that knows the peripheral of what goes on in this bubble, and then there's the RPG community. And unfortunately, the people on the outside of that don't understand handmade dice and they don't get it. And the word handmade dice is being used by people who aren't artists, right? It's being used by mass manufacturers. And my push for wanting to use the word handmade with this system was that it was competing against these people that are anything but. Now, I've heard the community, and the community has said, we don't want to do that. We feel like it's damaging. Let's drop it. Let's not use the word handmade. Like, if that is the general consensus and everyone doesn't want to use it, I, Bree, am not going to sit here and tell you you should, because it's not my job, it's not my place, it's not my position. And if it's going to be hurtful to everyone overall, we don't say handmade and we don't say precision ballots, but I think that we need to have a way to represent that these are made by small businesses, by people who have lived in this community, that love this community, that are a part of this bubble, and that aren't mass manufacturers. And the way I thought logically of doing that was using the association of handmade. Bree, was wrong. Um, and we aren't going to tell you how to market that. We aren't going to tell you have to say something like that. But I hope that provides some context.
It's not our position to tell everyone this is not. What we're going to be supporting everyone with is we're going to give you multiple ways of showing that it has been used through the BTM process with logos and other things, so that you, if you want to let people know it's being used, or if you want to have it as a white label service, that's your decision. We're not going to get involved in that. We will just give you the tools you need so you can let people know that this is being gone through this process.
I think the big key point there is that Level Up Dice, Bree and Alex and this service are not going to tell you how you have to describe this. So if we have this conversation as a wider community and we come up with a consensus of how we want to talk about it, then that's fantastic. Yeah. Question number 2.
Let's move on, Bree.
Yeah. People keep comparing BTM to a train. You either get on, you're left at the station. Do you feel like this is an accurate dichotomy? Can people who cannot or will not adapt this system survive?
So just to confirm, there's actually 3 pieces of that analogy, which wasn't our analogy, which was that you can get on, you can watch, and you can get run over. I don't personally think that's a good analogy. I don't have the perfect analogy for what's going on. I see this as, hey, you have the ability to go to Home Depot and buy a better drill. Better is the wrong word. Buy a drill that is electric, so you don't have to do it by hand. That's an option you have available. That's how I view this. Is there more going on? I know we've talked a couple of times about big business looking at doing similar dice. We don't want to scare anyone, but we want to tell you the truth of the matters, all facts. This is what's happening. I can send you guys copies of the WeChat messages I'm getting saying, hey, these are our brand new handmade dice. Think it's a good idea. I want a consult. And then they send me pictures of what they've made in the factory. And that was wording pretty much verbatim. They mentioned something about tarot series, so that's going to be different. These are happening. We're not going to hide that behind anything. I'm going to tell you guys, hey, people are getting contacted. These are the sort of designs that are coming at you, at us. Has it hit our bubble? No. Will it hit the general market? Yes. How that'll affect us, I don't know. But I want to give you guys as many tools as possible. So I don't believe in the BTM train analogy. As I said, it wasn't coined or anything else by Level Up Dice. I don't think you need this to survive. I think it's another tool for you to...
I also want to be careful to say that I know Feyvours, I know that you're in the chat as well. We're all trying to understand where this industry is going, and I know that Feyvours was trying to understand it through this analogy, and there was no ill harm meant or anything by that. Want to make sure that we're all also realizing that emotions are running high because there's so much passion here, and we're gonna react to certain things that people say, because text can be construed in different ways, different intent and different meanings, and we're all being as careful to be as respectful of each other as possible. But when emotions run high like this, it is hard. And by saying that we don't believe that the BTM train is the correct analogy, I also don't want to, throw, oh God, I want to make a stupid joke, but I won't. No, I will. I don't want to throw Feyvours under the train. I don't want to say that, that is one way that one person tried to understand what's going on. And I just think we need to take breaks to remember to try, and I think everyone's doing their best. I do, to try and be respectful of other people's opinions and things like that as well. So please don't think that us dismissing the BTM train is us dismissing your. It's just not a Brie and Alex thing.
No, but we wanted to get every single question we could find out there and answer it. This is why we're answering this question. We didn't choose this question. These questions were grabbed from Alex over at Kingsvale, who went and found as many questions as possible. She went through all the videos and everything else.
No.
God bless her, she's amazing. So we'll just answer every question we can, and some of them don't, end up like this. Brie, what do you think these changes mean for brand new makers who haven't even published their dice yet? Will this make expectations higher?
I don't know if it will make expectations higher. I think there's an overlap in the industry. I think there's a big mix of people from lots of different walks of life and lots of different perspectives that find a lot of joy out of dice making as a hobby and dice making as a business and all of the parts in between. I think new makers who haven't published their dice yet are still going to be really enjoying the experimental process of working with dice. And I think there's still going to be a lot of really valuable assets and tools there for new makers. I personally think that we should strive for high expectations when we start breaking into things like the retail market or the wider RPG market. I think we should strive for that. I personally think there will still be a very, very much a relevance for handmade dice at all levels using different processes. And there are some people that are starting out that don't have the same skill level as really experienced makers who successfully sell their dice, but they will get there and they will keep working at it and things like that.
Hey Brie, you've been in the community for a long time. You were there when there was only 200 people in Dice Making Discoveries. Do you remember the first time people started talking about, and no, I'm not trying to use this analogy as this is what CNC is versus a pottery wheel. I just want to use the analogy of when first discussions of pottery wheels came into play. If I remember correctly, there were people going, well, this is unreachable, some of us can't afford pottery wheels, this is going to make change the game, I won't be able to compete. It's a new tool, it will affect different people. But
I don't think that's 100% correct. I do think probably, and it could be that I was already making a lot in when the pottery wheel thing came through. I think that it was a new tool. There are still people that didn't want to use it, and I do think it's divisive in that respect. I think that pressure pot is a big one. I think it's not exactly the same, but it's a similar kind of not analogy, but a similar comparison. And it probably isn't as much for people now as what it used to be, but working with a pressure pot was insanely challenging. It was a barrier to get into, and there was a big difference for a lot of people between using a pressure pot and not using a pressure pot. I don't think that's
I think I'm going to try to now make an analogy between the items themselves. We're just going to say that, hey, there were people who said, oh, that's going to make me obsolete, whatever the case is, but it didn't. And I guess that really goes back to how will these affect people who do everything by hand? I don't think it will, because the handmade industry is there. I think there's a lot more that's going on. I think this doesn't affect what you do for your current customer base. There are options to increase larger customer base and everything else, but we're going around at the moment now.
I think that it will engage people that aren't already engaged in the handmade market, because they will have access and accessibility to it. There won't be like the other the market that isn't currently in the handmade space that would otherwise have been piqued interest by mass manufacturing claiming to be handmade can then be redirected to artists who are currently in the handmade market. It doesn't mean we have to call these products handmade.
We're not saying they're handmade. The official statement from Level Up Dice is these dice aren't handmade as far as finished is concerned. What you guys decide as an industry of what handmade is in the future is not up to us. We don't have a stake in that. We thought we would initially work out and help people, figuring out how they could best market it, because they asked. And then we soon realized we're not in that position. That's not our role. Our role here isn't to tell people if they're handmade or not. So please, don't keep asking us if these are handmade. That I don't think they are. Standpoint, and it's not our job to tell people if they are or not.
Yeah, it's hard because we're getting to bits that are gonna. It's really easy to answer a lot of these questions because they're like factual questions, and then some of these are like personal opinion, and we all have different personal opinions. I think that the biggest takeaway for me for this whole community impact thing, and we're still going to go through it. I'm not going to dodge any of these. I'm going to answer them as someone who is a handmade maker, and as someone who is coming from this perspective. Is I think we just need to do our best to try and be respectful when we talk about these things from both sides. We need to acknowledge that emotions are going to run high because we are so passionate about this, and we also need to kind of come to some kind of consensus that we're not all going to come to an answer. Like, we're not all going to agree on this. There are going to be lots of differing opinions, and yeah.
Let's go through the rest of the questions. I mean, and then we've got an AMA of questions we can direct that as well, because we can get lost. Both Brie and I can get lost in questions.
Is the target audience of BTM makers or consumers of dice? Will this become a Build-A-Bear of dice or a tool for creators? It's a tool for creators. It won't be a Build-A-Bear of dice. It's for artists.
Everything in BTM. We don't expect the customer to come and go, oh, how do I log an IP claim or something? We are designing it around creators of that. Next one. I'm concerned about the impact on master makers. What happens to people like AJ, kind of cast? So making masters is actually quite different to making a die. I don't want to tell people things that they know already. I would not suggest the dice coming out of our cube service to be used as a master. There are a lot of intricacies in a master that don't need to go into making a die. So I don't know what the impact is. I think if, like anyone, we need to keep innovating. I know AJ is a great guy. He's got lots of ideas, and I believe that anyone who tries to use a Lud cube die as a master is going to run into more problems than anything else. So. I think the next one's definitely a me too. Do you have any intentions for Lud producing their own resin dice in a style of handmade makers? Will you move into the market and compete with us? No, I got offered it a lot of times. We could have just grabbed this and just done Fortune Feyvours. We could have grabbed all these factories that are reaching out saying, hey, do you want to have these dice? Our intent, it's not obvious by now, is to
I'm going to poke in for a second here, because Lud does not own Fortune Feyvours, by the way. So, like, any Fortune Feyvours, like, I, Brie, own Fortune Feyvours. So, it's the same as if we partner or showcase anyone else on the website. Like I am a Level Up Dice employee. I, Brie, own Fortune Feyvours. So, I don't know if that's helpful. But that's not, like, anything that Fortune Feyvours does with Lud is in the way of a partnership that I am the business owner of. If I want to not do Lud stuff anymore, I will terminate that partnership and stop doing it.
We want to offer you all a service. I want to fill up my CNC machines. I want to give you guys as many innovations as possible. We can repeat saying that over and over again. To some of you, it's just going to be words, and I'm sorry. Hopefully, our actions speak for it, and you'll see that this one, first of all, is doing an AMA that questions that can last forever. That we're taking raw questions from everyone and not changing anything there will help. And you guys will see that. For everyone else who is hearing us and going, okay, cool, that's what they're doing for a service, great. But that's our intent. We don't want to. Level Up Dice as a brand is not a resin dice brand. It is a semi-precious stone and high-quality metals luxury brand. We will form partnerships with people sometimes, but we'll make sure that that partnership is well explained, like we did with TAF Dice recently. We did the All-Seeing Dice had some sets sent over to us that we sold together because we love their packaging. Other points, Marie? Please make an official statement. We've already done that.
I think RMS please make an official statement that these will not be marketed as handmade, and then it's up to makers to decide how they market them. I'm happy to do, and by official, I mean we've said that now officially, but also happy to do that written.
Yeah. And I think we even say in our FAQs, we say that we don't classify them as handmade.
I
think
can't.
the RMS. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just. There is. I need more context on what the question in the comments
I know.
is.
I know that question is like against that. So during our BTM chats with all the beta testers, at one stage, one of the beta testers said some inappropriate language that was offensive. I would rather not say it out loud, but if you guys scroll up, you'll see Jezebel Creations have just mentioned what it is. Now, unfortunately, Bree and I are in Australia, and that comment was there for way too long while we were sleeping. And as soon as we got up, we dealt with it and said that was inappropriate. We don't have a standpoint for that. The individual in question put an apology in, explained they didn't understand the process. We got multiple conversations with that individual to make sure that it wouldn't happen again. And we dealt with it as quickly as we could. Unfortunately, that quickly is delayed because Bree and I have to sleep sometime. When we wake up, it's usually at the start of when this AMA happened. And so lots of conversation can happen till then. I do believe, and I hope that the beta testers believe this as well. If they don't, please let us know that we did handle it and we did stop it. And we did also say we didn't agree with that as well. That's not the kind of people Level Up Dice are, and we unfortunately can't control what everyone says and thinks and everything else. We can tell you where we stand though.
I also, I'm not going to talk about intent or anything like that, but I also, I'm just,
Yeah. We do not stand by that that language or what was said. It's our standpoint. Let's jump to the next question. I think this one's you can take this one if you can.
I think the RMS and LUD need to figure out exactly how they are portraying their carvings to avoid confusing the market. As long as how it is made is clearly outlined, that's fine. We always want to give 100% transparency. When we started, it was in beta. We're going to give as much information as we can, as concisely as we can. We have not launched yet. We want to give accurate information. I know we keep saying we haven't launched and we're in beta. We need to take time to make sure that what we're saying is accurate and conveys. Yes, we're going to let people know what is happening. We are going to be transparent with things. We're going to share processes of how things are made. We're going to do that.
We're sorry that everything launched the way it did. Or not launched is the wrong word. It happened the way it did. The Cube sneak peek, as we said at the beginning, we were excited. That doesn't change the fact that this caused a lot of confusion and got a lot of people thinking of us in a very negative light, which you're more than welcome to do because there wasn't a lot of information from us. We get that, and we're very, very sorry that's happened. we hope that anyone who has got a negative light from all that can now hear everything we're saying and see that we're trying to make everything as right as possible. We're human. We make mistakes. Um, Not one of us is claiming that we're not. So please, this is what we're here for. For however many hours it's going to take, we will make sure we answer every question. Um, so, next question is: it seems like you've been giving assurances without any substance. Yeah, we started to. The problem was any substance we were starting to create then got twisted, or used, or leaked, or whatever the case is. So we're going to be very careful with making sure that the substances we do give, the FAQs took 4 of us 6 hours. That's 24 hours of work to make sure that we tried to get the substance as succinct and delivering the correct information as possible via text, which I personally suck at because I am such an emotional, influential individual that I can't talk by text. So we hope that this is the beginning of giving you the substance, and we're not going to stop.
Yeah, and also we don't have all of the answers yet. Um, I want to share as much of those answers as I can as we get them. This is not going to be, I'm not going to be able to answer everything in this one live where we want the conversation to continue. When we say genuinely come to us, ask us questions, even tough ones, even if it sucks and is emotionally draining, like I want to make sure that your concerns and your points of view are valid and important, and I don't want to dismiss them, but I also want to give you accurate information. I don't want to say one thing is true when that might change, because we're in a developing process. We're in paid up paper. We're I'm sorry, I saw a comment about salt and supper in the chat and I got briefly distracted. I want to give you the right facts. But I also want to know that I see what you're saying, I hear what you're saying, not ignoring that at any point. All of these questions that are in here, all of the questions that are being raised in the AMA that we're going to have later, all of the stuff that's been raised here, everything in this sheet, very important questions to us, and I want to consider each of them, and I want to give you the best answers as I can. Sometimes I'm not going to have the answer though, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to get it for you.
We cancelled all our meetings and everything today for this, so we can make sure we give you as much time as possible. So let's stick with the questions at the moment, so we can get through those and open up any AMA discussions as well. I think I'll leave this. Do you want to take this one?
I think a lot of their responses to critique have been save face first, finances later, and that's a huge issue. I can tell you from that my opinion, they're not. I don't think at this point I really don't think I'm trying to save face. I think that there are people that aren't going to like me, and it sucks. There are people that aren't going to like what's happening, but I do respect you. I do want to give you answers, and I'm doing my best. I'm sorry that I don't have them all right now. I really am, and I'm trying to I know some things that I say people aren't going to agree with. Does that feel emotional for me as a person? Yeah. Is it stressful? Yeah. But I also don't want to lie about anything, so at no point am I trying to save face. Just trying to do the best and give you the best answers that I can.
People are sick of capitalism. Hell fucking yeah. I was saying the other day that there's a lot of capitalism that as I said, I try to have everyone in the business on the same plane. Everyone's taken care of, health insurance, everything we can. That is the experiences I've had that have been aside from capitalism. It's not a cash grab. I can tell you that. You can believe it or not. I can show you my figures. I mean, wow. Let's just look at how much our bank account has got.
I think a lot of this is going to be, I think a lot of this is going to be proven through action. I do. We can say it's not a cash grab, we can say this and we can say that, and I think the only way that a lot of these things are going to be resolved and, you know, showing us doing the best that we can. And I think that will come. I can tell you that, like I said earlier, we are not driven by money. We're not driven by profit. We're driven by a want for innovation. But that's a really easy thing to say, and we have to show it.
When capital gets involved, if things prices go down, profits go down, quality goes down. Kind of. I think capitalism is used as a overarching term. When people who want to make profits get involved, things change in that sort of way. Capitalism, like anything, has a perfect way of running that can never happen because we're humans. But we're not aiming to be capitalists. As I said, first 4 years I made $10,000 profit. I don't know what more I can say about capitalism. I feel like we've said it enough. If you still think we're capitalists, then I can't prove it's not otherwise. Sorry, I don't think there's any more I can say on that subject. We are a bunch of dice lovers all working together to try to do something cool with dice industry. Want to grab the next one, Brie?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I think we're getting a little fatigued, but I'm going to try and get back to it. I did appreciate some. I'm seeing bits and pieces of what's said in the chat, and you know, I know there's been people that have offered support personally, even if they don't agree with the service, and I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate that because it's helping Brie get through this. I'm worried about smaller makers who cannot participate due to cost. It's not a low barrier, so it's not a low barrier to pay $100 up front just to have 5 cubes sets turned into dice shapes, and that's not even counting polishing prices. I'm trying to keep it as low as possible while still offering a service that we don't lose money on. So, you know, unfortunately there does have to be a price point. We're trying to keep that down as much as possible. If there are other ways that we can support smaller makers that aren't through the cubes, that is something that we'll be doing as well. Like we have, for example, our BTM talks where we have, you know, people in the community giving advice and things like that. That's not going to be a paid service. That is something that 100% a smaller maker can come and experience and hang out and still get that knowledge base. I don't think that it's going to. We want to try and offer a variety of services and make them as flexible as possible, so that there are less barriers. The cube service in particular, there is going to be a barrier in terms of cost because we have to cover overhead.
I just sorry, my head just went to if we were capitalists, we wouldn't have spent all this time on our staffing costs to do this. Just thinking back how it was like working in the bank. Oh, sorry, my head's. We're focusing.
I also,
I
mean, this is I don't want to talk about myself personally all the time either, but I come from by trade, I'm an early childhood teacher who's only ever worked, I've worked for community-based centres. I've worked once for a for-profit childcare centre, and I hated it, and I spent about 3 months there. I think, and I believe very firmly that things that are run by the community, for the community, as much as possible, is best for everyone involved. And that's the philosophy that I'm coming at this project with, and you can take and do that with whatever you like. That's just my personal philosophy and how I would like to operate this program.
I got destroyed in calculus. I always had new ideas, and everyone would always tell me, "Oh, your ideas are dumb," or "That's stupid," or "What are you thinking? Go back to doing what your job is." And then 3, 4 years later, those ideas would pop up in the industry, and I'd be like, "What the hell?" And so even when I left banking and I tried to start doing a dice, um, I would fight my own internal demons, telling me that what you're doing is wrong, you have no skill, you've got no idea, everything you're thinking of is stupid. And when my first ideas started coming to fruition and they were working, I was like, what is this? I've been told my whole life that all my ideas are dumb. Because capitalism's horrible. I'm sorry. I don't want to ever run anything like that at all. In fact, every single person in Lud, if they have an idea, I'm like, how can we make this happen? Let's do it. Let's try something cool and new. But I think
But again, we can say that we're gonna. What my aim is for us to prove that with our actions for you. Yeah. Next question.
Next question.
Is there anyone or any entity who are excluded from the target audience?
You wanna use any of our services?
Tough one. That's a tough one though too, right? Because we're talking about you directly. None of you are excluded from our target audience. If a manufacturer comes and wants to utilize things in a negative way, we're not gonna allow that to happen.
Never does have a manufacturing arm that takes care of that anyway. But the BTM services are designed for the handmade maker. If you're a handmade maker, or you want to learn how to be a handmade maker, the answer is it's there for you.
That's who it was designed for and who it's intended to be used by. Change is inevitable, but we don't want to bother. Sorry.
To clarify, are your services limited from other companies using those services? Can you maybe give us an example of what you mean by that? Like, are you saying if Kingswell goes, "Hey, we've got some cubes, can you make some dice for us?" We're going to say yes or no. I mean, we'll jump to the next question and come back to that. But I'm not sure again what that question really means. I'm sorry. Go for it, bro.
Change is inevitable, but we don't want to roll over and accept that BTM is the only way forward. I feel like the phrase "the change is coming" is the only constant being used to shut down conversations. I don't think that BTM is the only way forward. I think that there are going to be a lot of different ways forward, and I think the way that we all grow and is by there being a lot. There shouldn't be one way of doing things. I don't think there should be one way of doing things. I think there should be lots of different options for people to access if they like.
I shouldn't be. I don't think we should look in chat yet. Go for it. But Greenleaf Geek, if someone who wants to make it once, does that make them not a maker? Anyone who wants to make dice is a maker.
I want to wait until this is done.
Anyway. Yes. I don't.
I think they're getting to the end.
Change is the only
so
constant.
far.
I don't think his words are came from us either. You don't have to take BTM, use BTM or roll over, whatever the case is.
I do firmly think that there is a change coming, though. I don't think that BTM is the only answer to that change. I think as Bree that what handmade dice was in 2018, 2019 isn't what it is now, and what it's going to be tomorrow isn't what it is today, and I think that change is coming and we're going to adapt to that in different ways. BTM is not the only way to move forward. I don't think that. I also think that, like with anything, there will still be a relevance for doing things the way they have been done, and that will still work. I think that the handmade dice industry or the artisan dice industry or whatever, the dice industry in general has a lot of different arms that are coming off it it's a tree. There's a lot of different services, and a lot of different things are going to become relevant. And it's just
the skill level alone. Like, you can't replace a handmade maker because all the skill they've got to get the perfect pitch or to get the perfect inclusion set up. You can't just come off the street and do that. This definitely will give more people the ability to play around in the space, to try things out. But there's still a huge skill level that you all have that you need to respect and be proud of, because what you guys do is not easy. Otherwise, everyone would already be doing it. And yes, maybe we lower the barrier of entry, and we introduced the sewing machine, which I think was a 5-volt dice example, which is a great example. And we give the opportunity for more people to try out the hobby, and maybe find more cool people who really enjoy it. But it's not wiping out the industry. It's giving more people a chance to play in it. It's giving the person who always dreamed they would try something to try it. Yeah. So change is happening. More people are going to play in this industry, which is great. I think more ideas, more designs, more cool things is never a bad thing. I think you guys have to remember, though, that you guys are experts and skilled workers, and that the stuff you design, if it was so easy to repeat, everyone would be doing it by now. And yes, the big factories are trying, but there's a reason why they're trying, and they haven't done everything yet. They've mastered the Mylar designs now. They've been able to put items into dice, little ducks and everything else, but they still haven't got all the skills that you guys have. So, yeah. Let me take the next one, Brie.
I'm happy with disabled makers being used as pawn for the argument, but it aids disabled makers.
Yeah.
I don't think that needs to be
We've already talked about that.
I don't think, that's not something that I want to use as a selling point for this program by any means.
No, we haven't used. Yeah. So I think we've talked about it before. There's a question about disabled makers previously, if you're just tuning in now. So we'll go there. Lud has been very evasive about BTM undercutting other makers. Like, even economics are mostly bullshitting. Don't act like you know everything will be okay. I don't know everything will be okay. I don't know if my business will be okay tomorrow. I don't know if everyone's going to hate us, and then I have to tell my staff that I'm sorry, we now ostracized from the industry. What I am going to do is I'm going to try to continue offering techs, opportunities. My head's going to continue going. I'm proud of it now. I don't think we're undercutting anyone else. We're offering a different service. We're trying to do it at a acceptable rate. In fact, if you talk to anyone who came into BTM when we had our initial the beta initially talking about it, we were like, how much are you making an hour at the moment? How can we improve that for you? How can we make sure you're making a reasonable wage, that you're being taken care of? Every single one went through. We designed a little calculator that would put in current costs and everything else you're doing, versus how much it would cost with our process and how many hours you'd save and how many more dice you could make. We're doing that because we want makers to pay themselves a proper wage. We want them to take care of themselves. We want, for people who want to make 100 sets and sell them at conventions and stuff, to do it. We're not here to destroy anyone. We're here to try to offer you opportunity if you want to turn this into a full-time business. Bree managed to do it, and then we got to see the heartache that she did to make it happen, and then we tried to fix the problem, and then they're offering it to everyone. So yeah, we're not trying to undercut other makers.
I feel like I've been told both. You don't care about accessibility, and you're only hating because our workshop is in China. And when I bring up my concerns, I've been accused of being racist. I do care about accessibility. I do. The whole thing when I talk about accessibility is that, I'm sorry, Greenleaf Geek, we can't see all of the comments as they're coming. If it gets posted, I'm sure it will, down the bottom. We're going to come back to it. We're doing the best that we can. So I feel I've been told you don't care about accessibility. Absolutely. The whole project is about accessibility, but it's about accessibility on as many levels as we can. Like, people have different skill sets and people have things that make them valuable. Some people are really, really, really good at making molds. Some people are really, really good at doing other aspects of that. And I want to make sure that if somebody needs help with a certain aspect of their craft, that they have access to that help. And, you know, I don't know how to answer that other than to say that I absolutely do care.
Sorry, I just saw I've been accused of being a racist. If anyone at Level Up Dice has told you that, you need to contact me ASAP. That is not how anyone who works here would ever act. And if they have, then email me, alex@levelupdice.net. Because that is not what we're about. So if you've been accused of being racist, please let me know. And I'll take care of that.
Blood flip-flops on this oversaturation thing. They said it's full, and then on the other hand, they said there's a way to move more people in. So, like I said, I think that we're... Oh. Yeah, go. No, go for it.
Oh, no, yeah. So, there's two different pieces. One is, yes, there is a saturation, and two, there is a bringing more people in. So, we have to remember we're not talking about a single piece. We're talking about the handmade dice market itself, and then we're talking about dice as an industry. And so there's plenty of opportunity in the complete dice industry. In the handmade industry itself, we are getting to a saturation point. So both of these can be factual and can live side by side, as long as we know we're talking about different elements as well. So I think this offers. What we'd love to do. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but what we're going to try to do is get as many people as possible who are in this space who want to access the rest of the space, to give them tools to access it. Probably the biggest piece where I think BTM would really help is people getting ready for conventions, because conventions, dice sales are huge, and if you have an opportunity to set up and get 100, 200, 300 dice made, so you're ready for a convention, that's going to help you get that extra people out there, or the more people buying in. There are lots of opportunities that we haven't even thought about or discussed or come up with yet on what these things can do to help you out. It's always all the questions and everything is being like, oh, this is going to stop this and stop this, but there are also a lot of things that can open and give you opportunity. There's a huge dice world out there. It's a 9-figure industry. It's hundreds of millions in being spent in the accessory market in tabletop every year now. So finding ways to get you to access that as well. I'm sorry if I keep using tool versus service. It's a service. It's just a word that's going to be printed to my mind. If you hear tool, change it to service. It's a word. I'm sorry, that's not the intent.
Yeah, I think the thing is, and this is something that we've discussed a lot in the beta group as well, is that it's really important to us that this is sustainable for people that are involved and for people who aren't. And that means us offering connections and services and things to be able to break into like retail markets and things like that, and to go to conventions, like Alex said. I think that for the people that want to do that, there's so much space in the wider dice market for us to occupy that will otherwise be occupied by mass manufacturing. And then I think that will in turn give more room to this space that is becoming oversaturated because there's nowhere to go. I think if we can break open some of these walls that we're all contained in, then that will allow more space for more artists to experience success. I
I'm
don't want
concerned I'll pay.
anyone. I don't want anyone who's either using this service or not using this service to suffer because of it. And we're going to put as much effort as we can into making this sustainable for everyone and for breaking out of this bubble and allowing space for everyone to do what they want to do in a passionate, creative, artistic way that doesn't cause an oversaturation.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm concerned.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm concerned. I'll have to pay for dice to be finished and to be able to sell them when there are so many other makers out there. That's a valid concern. We are a small company of a bunch of people who have an idea. We want to share that idea with you guys. Use it. Don't use it. It's an idea that we figured would help with Bree making 100 sets in a month and actually give her more time to do what she wants to do. I'm sorry, we're just sharing it. Like, sorry, back to the question. I'm concerned for you too, but there's a lot more dice out there as a market than what you may be playing in the social media space currently, and we hopefully can find ways to help you with that. We were going to 40 conventions a year. Maybe we offer space where you can bring your dice to more conventions in 3 different continents. We will do everything we can to help, but we're only a small group of people trying to help. There also has to be help from the rest of the community and everyone else. This is what we've always done as a dice community in large. Is we have the core of it is all about helping each other out and supporting each other. And so that's what we will do, and hopefully others will step up and do that as well.
Yeah, I'm simultaneously nervous about being outpriced and excited about the idea of people who don't want to buy who don't want to buy a high-priced dice being able to buy from a handmade dice shop. I think. I mean, I've been nervous a lot in developing my business as well. I've made sure that I've tried to make the best, most well-informed decisions that I could. And I don't know how to answer that one, honestly. Do you, Alex?
I am constantly nervous about that as level up dice. And we can't make you feel better. I'm sorry. I have huge technologies in Stone, and I've been running the top of the newest ideas in Stone for the last 4 years. And where the industry was taking 12 months to copy me, they're now down to 4 months, which means I have to come up with more ideas. And I don't have just me to worry about. I have multiple stuff to worry about as well. It's very difficult being at the forefront of your game, and this, I think, is probably the thing that hasn't been said enough. Handmade dice makers are at the forefront of technology in dice making, in resin and plastic. You guys are coming up with all the newest, coolest ideas. People are going to copy, people are going to chase you, and they're going to get faster and faster and faster. And the way to stay ahead of that game is keep coming up with new ideas. That's business across the whole world, any industry. It sucks, but that's humans trying to see something successful and go, I want a piece of that. I want to copy that. I know that cubes offer a completely new way to pour that shows potential designs that have never been done before. And we know that no one can copy that unless they follow a cube process, which no one else can do at the moment, but they're going to eventually copy. We're going to have copying going there as well. It's the reality of being at the front of the industry, is that you've got to constantly innovate. It's scary. I don't know if people will just forget about Level Up Dice because all the other stone manufacturers out there are doing the same stuff, and it's cheaper. Because I can't make mine cheaper because I pay my staff a very livable wage, because I spend 18 months on R&D to design stones that are layered. Anyway, I'm sorry, we're digressing. It's
I
okay
think
to
I
feel
think
nervous.
the biggest point here is that, like, just because I don't have an answer for that question, and this is going to apply to a lot of them, it doesn't mean that I think your questions aren't valid, or that your feelings aren't valid, or that what you're experiencing isn't important, because it is. And we're making sure that we're hitting these points to make sure that you know that no matter what your opinion is, it is, there's a space for that, and you have the right to voice it. I have the right to voice my opinions as well, and I like it. It's hurtful for me too, and I empathize with that. And on a person-to-person basis, even if we don't agree, like, I see what you're saying, I can understand how you feel like that, and what you think is valid, and you're important, and I'm not, you're not, you're being heard. Even if I can't answer the question, you're being heard, and we want to touch on it because we want to make sure that you know that. I feel like the emphasis on precision, if the emphasis on precision continues, the myth that handmade dice aren't balanced. It will continue the myth that handmade dice aren't balanced. I hear that. Let's not use precision. This is another aspect of, we hear what you're saying. This isn't a brick wall. Your feedback, every
we're trying
piece
to find
of
words that would help.
Yeah, let's not use it. It's just not. I think that has been a general consensus. Yeah, it was in the PR pack. It was. It's not going to be used in the future.
Yeah.
I hear you. It was a misstep. I'm sorry. We won't use that anymore. The comment made by Bree about the dice making market being competitive was something that rubbed me the wrong way. Coming from a handmade maker, you should know the dice community. This is probably where I'm going to cry again. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't remember what that comment was. I can think about what I may have meant, and I can express that. I think the comment may have just been that the dice making market is competitive. I think that's what the comment was. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I want to break this down a little bit, I think. So the first being that I do think the dice making market is competitive. I don't think that people in the handmade market are seeking to compete against one another. As a maker coming into the handmade space, I started making dice in 2018. I was competing every day against Instagram numbers, against social media numbers, and I was looking at myself and thinking that I'm not good enough to be in this space, that I shouldn't be here, that there isn't a place for me here. And it wasn't you that made me feel like that, it was me that made me feel like that. It doesn't make it less competitive. When we are living in a space with little pieces of work that we put out that are so attached to who we are as people and are so emotionally connected to how we feel as nerds and as artists and as role players, it's hard to not feel like that's a reflection on you, and to not feel like you need to compete to prove yourself. No one has made me feel like that on a personal level. I have so many friends that I've made from this community, and I had a baby and I was gone for a year, but I still want a place in this community. It's still important to me. I still feel like the things that I have to add are valuable. And I'm sorry that some of you don't know me yet, and I want to know you. But there's been so many times where I've felt like shit, because I'm not good enough to be here, and I have competed against that. I've I've struggled with that a lot. I've competed against numbers. I've competed against having people who I look up to be represented in the same space as me, and thinking there's no way that I can compete with that. And you know what? I didn't need to, because there was room for both of us and there's room for all of us. Does it make it feel less competitive on a personal level? It doesn't. That's what I mean by it being a competitive market, and I don't want to compete against my friends. I don't think that I'm better than anyone else, and I think this is a feeling that hopefully a lot of you can relate to, but I also don't want to compete against someone who sees something that I make on Instagram. I had a dice design I was really proud of that I made in 2018. It was called Darkly Dreaming, and it was a blood splatter dice. And people took my pictures, not you, not this community, but people took my photos of my hard work and they put that on a mass manufacturing website and they sold it. And that's who I'm competing against. Because they're not going to hold back because they love me. They don't give a shit about me. And that's directly who I have to compete against. I have to compete against the people who see what I'm doing and they steal it and they take it. And I can't make an injection mold and put a shit ton of stuff in it. I can design something I'm proud of, and I can use a service like breaking the mold to make that more accessible to my customers on a wider base, and I can take ownership of what I created. I also don't think that, you know, no one else can do blood splatter dice, because you guys will put your beautiful, wonderful spin on things. You will find a way to make it creative. You're not just going to steal ideas. But unfortunately, what I mean when I say that it's competitive is that we're not competing against each other. We're competing against mass manufacturing. And burning myself out to stay relevant, I can't do that. I can't. I'm sorry. And that's what I mean. And if ever I say anything that comes across with ill intent, just talk to me about it. And you might not agree with my point of view, but I can tell you what I meant. And if we still are at a crossroads, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I do respect you and we can move on. Anyway, do we see ourselves as a savior? No.
No. No, not even close. We see ourselves as going, shit, we need to do something. This is really cool. How can we share it? No, I think I can't really follow. We don't see ourselves as a fake savior, guys. We see ourselves as giving you an option to do more, to make more business, to go to multiple conventions, to talk to retailers about stocking the dice, to setting up a Kickstarter where you can make in-house pours so you get exactly what you want. It's not anything with just the same stuff being bought every single time. That's what we see ourselves at. My mum is a maker.
No, go for it.
My mum is a maker. She doesn't speak English at all. I'm sure she's not the only one. Well, they offer services in other languages. We are a small company. We're not a giant conglomerate with billions of dollars. We will try our hardest to do everything we can to support you guys. But honestly, that sort of stuff makes me feel like you want us to do everything. We can't. We will offer you everything we can. What we perfected. If you guys want a different language and there's enough people, I will create a paid service that then pays for that individual, so they've got a job and they're doing the work for you guys and giving you translation.
I think.
But right now, I
Yeah.
speak Italian. That helps.
I think there is there's a lot of potential for us to offer other things if it's something that the artists are interested in. And if that is something that is brought to us, absolutely, we can try and figure out how to address that. I do think maybe we should try and get to the end of this page, and then we should go have a drink, and let other people have a break and have a drink too. Because even though we're on camera, it doesn't mean that there aren't other people that need to take a break and refresh. Because it's big. It's big. We're doing a lot of. And I think there's a call for it now. So I know we want to. I know Alex and we keep getting told to take breaks, and we do. We also want to make sure all of this gets addressed. So I think all we do is just stand up. It's being typed, so we're being forced to do it. Stand up. We'll go take a couple of minutes. We'll get water. We'll eat. I'm gonna have to feed my baby soon, so I could bring her on here. But we will be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll get as told by your team, have a break. All right, we're going. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. To have water and carbs.
I have caramel koalas.
So
Sure. Not actual koalas, and amazing. Yeah. We want to do everything we can, guys. We want to answer every single question you guys have asked for this. We want to offer everything we can. And I think there's many dice companies that would do this. I don't know. If you want a language, we'll make it happen if we can afford it. You know.
So I think if you want to go, they're not going to end anytime soon.
We'll do everything within our powers.
do you think we can have a joke break? I know this isn't a funny thing.
Break.
But can we have like a filler break? Can somebody send me some jokes or something? If you think that that's off point, we don't have to do it.
Kristen, look up!
If you think it's going to be too disruptive to the live, we don't have to. I just think some of us need to smile.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I will have a baby break though. Hey, Valentina. Hey, beautiful.
What did Batman say to Robin before they got into the Batmobile? I don't know. What did Batman say to Robin? Oh no, now there's multiple jokes going in.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. What did 0 say to 8? What did 0 say to 8? Nice belt. Oh, summer and salt. Wow.
I just got baby hugs, so I just muted myself.
You did.
All right. I was just gonna say, I just got a baby hug, so I'm good to go for another 4 hours.
Thanks, Laura. I love you. There's so many amazing people in here. What did Charmander say when he first I met Pikachu, I'm guessing?
All right. Interlude.
As someone who, oh, hold on. Charmander.
That's an amazing joke.
That's funny. Charmander.
Okay, I lost you for a second, but I think I'm back. Hey Bree, can you hear me? No one can hear you at the moment, Bree. I can hear you, so I don't think you're muted. Yeah, I don't think Instagram likes us. Shall we reset the live? Okay, let's reset the live.
I'll come back.